Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Good Morning Brownsville. Happy Thursday. Today with us again, we do have Roman. Roman, good morning. Now, I do know that. There you go. You were off.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do know. I was wondering if it was me.
It was me. It's me.
There is a lot of things that are going on as of late, especially in Austin, Roman,
Oh,
on the congressional maps. If you want to touch on that very quickly, what happened yesterday in Austin, Roman?
we had a show yesterday, and part of the show was a show between State Representative Aaron Gomez and your friend, State Representative Janie Lopez, for part of the show on the floor of the House. And Janie Lopez posted the portion of the video of what she happened, but then she clipped out the part where Aaron Gomez says, "Why are you leaving? Why are you fleeing?" Because Aaron Gomez wanted to ask her a question. But that all stems from what Chairman Todd Hunter did yesterday for approximately 8 hours, where he was in charge of the front mic, and presenting the bill to redistrict all of South Texas and the Rio Grande Valley and the rest of Texas. And it got passed in the second and third reading, and now it's going to the Senate, where it'll be fly through. It could be today, it could be tomorrow. The maps will be done, and you're going to have a free for all in the Republican side for who's going to be the next congressman. And you have Vicente Chente Gonzalez just yesterday, I think, or a couple days ago, posting a video of him coming into Corpus Christi over the new Harbor Bridge. And I guess he's saying, I'm going to stay in this fight. And I don't know why he's going to stay in this fight, quite frankly, because whoever wins the Republican side will be the congressman that will represent Cameron County. And if anybody thought they want to ask questions, I'd be happy to answer some of them, because it's an important thing. I know you've been talking about it, Frankie. You know, you've been having people come on commenting about, what one way or the other, whether they like it or don't like it. And, while at the same time, you have what you posted today for the main topic of the show, which is the soccer stuff. But the map is going to be the map. And yesterday, Eric Flores announced. I was actually at the event, and there were a lot of people there, quite a few people from Hidalgo County. And it makes you wonder whether or not Eric Flores should even be running in this race with as many people that were there from Hidalgo County, unless he knows something I don't know. And unless he thinks, or maybe his team thinks, that the new map is not going to be the map finally. And somebody sent me a copy of that and said, Roman, the maps didn't change. And I'm like, that's not the map. I don't know why my Montoya is posting the old map.
The reason why I'm bringing this up, Roman, is
Mm,
because at the very end, look what it says. And again, I was reading this maybe late last night. Again, I'm an early bird. By 9, I'm already in bed. Look what it says
mm,
at the very end. That shores up neighboring Congressional District 34, which was unexpectedly close in 2020,
mm.
but would have had a healthy Democratic margin of victory under the new map. The final version of the map draws CD 15 incumbent. Oh, this is an old.
You see that's just it, man. That's the problem we have with the blogs today. They don't.
Yeah,
They want to claim this information. It was almost like it was piecemeal. It wasn't the full story.
it was copy
The
and
last
pasted or
yeah the
something.
last two paragraphs are about what happened in 2022, because it literally says he's
Ah,
the incumbent in 15, and
yeah.
and that's not the way it was. President Trump in 2024 won, at least according to some people, won District 34, Chenda's seat, by 4 points. I was under the impression in November, when we did the numbers, that he had only won by 1 or 2 points, but I guess better, smarter people than me have figured out or rounded up to 4 to make President Trump have won by 4, and Myra won by 1.5 points, a loss by a point and a half. And the reason that matters is, I think you talked about the sliding scale. So
Mm.
if they imagine that Trump won District 34 by 4 points and Myra lost by a point and a half, they project this new map, which is going to take away Hidalgo County completely. We're not going to be tied to Hidalgo County anymore, and we're going to go northward towards Nueces County, and that'll make the seat no longer a plus Trump +4 seat or a Republican +4 seat. It'll make it a Trump Republican +10 seat. And worst case scenario, Myra, who had lost by a point and a half, will now win by 4.5 points. And I say that will win by that much because she's coming back. I mean, she's going to come back, and she's going to be the nominee more than likely. And we're going to have a primary fight. And as a Republican, I'm a Republican. I think you're a Republican, Frankie. I don't think Republicans here should want to have a primary fight the way it's going to potentially be, because you have people that are not happy with the idea of Myra Flores coming back in the Republican primary. And you have people that seemingly want to move on because they believe some of the things that Eric Flores was alluding to last night. And don't get me wrong, Eric Flores is a phenomenal candidate. He is a picture perfect candidate in that the way he looks, his image, his aura. There are flaws to every candidate, but just him, his wife, they are good-looking people. They have strapped, their boots on. They're becoming lawyers. That's what they are. They have 2 adorable children. And the reason I say picture perfect is because they could look like they could be on a picture frame. When you go by a picture frame, that family, it's a gorgeous family. And his resume is it's a fairly good resume. There's some things that the Republicans are potentially not going to like. That he was a federal prosecutor under the Biden administration for 3 years. That, the fact that his father was a Democrat, and a state house rep, and I think he was also a judge at one point. That they were Democrats. People were very upset, just last year at the amount of attention that former state senator Eddie Lucio Jr. was getting with Adam Hinojosa, and how much attention he's even still getting now. There are Republicans who will not necessarily like that, and that might come out. But his base, Eric Flores' base, the now former Brownsville ISD board attorney, and I say former because I don't think O'Hanlon is he's not here at BISD anymore. I think it's somebody else from O'Hanlon that's coming in. He will his base is in Hidalgo County. It's not Cameron County. And how do you expect him to come over? And I know that Bam yesterday, after we did our show, Bam Morales dropped out and went out and endorsed Eric Flores. But it's not just going to be about Cameron County, even the Valley. And that's what Republicans need to understand. And I'm undecided right now, just so everyone knows. I'm undecided. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. So I'm trying to be analytical and give you all information. It's not just going to be about Cameron County. You're going to have other people run from Nueces County that will potentially run. And quite frankly, there are more people that vote in Republican primary in Nueces County than vote in the Valley, in Cameron County. Just look at 2024. You had 21,000 people vote in the Republican primary in Nueces County, and in Cameron County, you only had 15,000 people. And even if you want to add in Willacy County, which had like 1,000, you're still only at 16,000 for the Valley. In Claiborne County, there were more than 3,000 people that voted. So there are more people voting up there than down here. So they may have a little bit more influence as to who gets elected in the primary. But in the general election, the Valley will, have a lot of people voting. They'll have more people voting in the Republican primary in the general election in Cameron County than they will in the northern half. So it's still going to be a Valley seat, but it will be a Republican seat because of the percentage of the Republicans in Nueces County and Claiborne County that will dictate who the nominee will be. Not the nominee, who will be the next congressman. But it might not be Eric. I could list you some of the people that are out there potentially running. You have Eric Flores who was already announced. You had Bam. You have a guy named Keith Allen from Hidalgo County. You have a guy named Josh Cortez. I think you mentioned him on your show. You have Gregory Kunkel, who apparently now lives in Cameron County. He no longer lives in College Station. He lives here in somewhere in Cameron County. You have Myra Flores. You have allegedly Freddie Hinojosa the brother of State Senator Adam Hinojosa from Nueces County who wants to potentially run these are rumor named. You have a guy named Scott McClellan or something that ran against Michael Cloud in the primary, spent millions of dollars in the primary, got 16% against Michael Cloud. He's apparently thinking about running. You got a guy named John Cudd, who's an appraisal person in Nueces County, and others. And who are those people? Are going to have the name ID, name recognition to hit the ground running. If you have 8, 9, 10 people running, who's going to win the nomination? It'll probably be a Myra. Why? Because Myra has earned all that name ID. Myra has earned the respect of primary voters. Unfortunately, you have people that, Eric, gave a great speech last night, but part of his speech was an undertone, an undercurrent of attacking Myra. He said things like, well, the era of, slogan candidates is over. The era of talking points is over. The era of losing when Trump needs us to when Trump wins and you lose or something. We know, those of us in the know he was referring to the elephant in the room that wasn't there, and that's Myra. And quite frankly, if Eric Flores did the smart thing, and that would be to maybe even run in 28 or 15. If, let's say, Monica de la Cruz runs in 35, that's supposedly the rumor that's being out there, that's being considered. He could run in 15 if he wanted to and do a phenomenal job. Or even better than that, run for a state house seat like his father did and run for one of those seats, because you're going to have a lot of funding for state house candidates. Bam Morales resigned his seat, Bam Morales is no longer running because he's going to run supposedly for one of the state house seats. Well, Eric Flores could do the same thing and have the funding necessary to be able to win potentially in November, because the amount of money that's going to be flooding the valley. And Republicans are happy about it. People like Aaron Gomez may not. And then, so last night, Aaron gave an impassioned speech. She made a post on Facebook. If you want to pull that up, Frankie, if you want to see it, she talks about, well, we're removing 294,000 people from the valley and moving them north. We're not removing everybody. Are we moving? Are people are we losing people? Because if we're losing people, you need to tell the city of Brownsville, let's not do the soccer team because we're gonna have almost 300,000 people leave somehow because they're not being removed. You're still going to be represented. You're still going to have a Hispanic be the person. It's gonna. Myra Flores is Hispanic. Josh Cortez is Hispanic. Gregory Kunkel, even though his last name Kunkel, he's Hispanic. Eric Flores, he's Hispanic. Freddie Hinojosa, the brother, he's Hispanic. They make it seem like it's not going to be Hispanic. It's going to be a conservative. It'll be a Republican.
I find it interesting because going back to Chente, what did he say? He said that Myra was going to mop the floor with Eric Flores. I think it's interesting that that he ran in this race, Roman, because everyone thought that Hidalgo County was going to continue to be in this new proposed map, and lo and behold, now we find that the proposed map, which should be finalized very, very soon, carved out Hidalgo County, which is very interesting because, as you said, Eric Flores is from Mission, Hidalgo County area. So where does he expect for people to know him here in Cameron County? We have heard rumblings of how the local Republican Party of Cameron County, how they have already, made Eric their horse, so to speak. What's going to happen when Mayra Flores comes back? What's going to happen to all those people? And I find that interesting because I did get several messages yesterday about this. They said, "Are you going to the event?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I should go. I've been invited by several people. I'm not going to go." And then someone said, "Hey, what I'm hearing is Mayra's going to come back. Is that true?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I can't confirm anything because I haven't heard it from her personally." I don't have that luxury of having that communication with her. But this person that is very, very in tune with the Harlingen folks. And it is my understanding that there's a lot of Republicans, diehard Republicans in Harlingen, and they told me right now they're with Eric. But if Maida were to come back, we would throw our support behind her. And the thing, Roman, the thing that I see here, you mentioned that Maida lost by 1 to 2%, 5,000 votes. Now, with the pendulum swinging of the margin favoring Republicans 10 to 11%, well, that looks favorable to the party. And my whole thing is if it's not broken, don't fix it. Maida Flores came very close this past time. Now that the odds are in favor, now that the stars align for the party, she is the candidate to represent this area. At the end of the day, it's all about name recognition. At the end of the day, she is the one that pretty much turned this area Republican. She is the first what is it, Latina or Mexican congresswoman to be elected when she beat Dan Sanchez. I just think it's petty. We want an outsider. And many people say, well, Maida, she's also an outsider. But she's claimed San Benito. San Benito has been her home, if I'm not mistaken. Her family lives there. Her sister lives there, if I'm not mistaken. So if we're looking for someone that's going to represent us, and look, this is the thing, and I think maybe you have alluded to this before, Roman. We are in a battle against Nueces County. Right now, currently, our senator is out of Nueces County.
Mhm.
Many people are stating that when it comes to Adam Hinojosa, we don't see him in the valley.
Mhm.
He does have, I'm not sure if he's still working for him, Zeke Silva. Zeke Silva is from Brownsville, and he, at one point, I'm not sure if he still is working for the congressman and his office, but we don't see. There was an event at SpaceX, Roman.
Mm.
Did Adam Hinojosa attend? Did he show? Did he post pictures?
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
I
Um,
didn't see any.
I didn't see any either. And there's many people that allude to the fact that we have a senator from Nueces County that doesn't pay attention to the valley, that doesn't pay attention to Brownsville. And I think that's going to be very important for us moving forward because it is going to be a battle. You mentioned previously about Freddie Hinojosa, the brother of the current senator, Adam Hinojosa. Is it favorable to us for both our congressman and our senator to be from Nueces County? What's going to happen? Are we going to get the short end of the stick? Is it going to be to where Fred focuses on the valley and Adam focuses on Nueces County? We don't know the logistics, but I think that's very telling moving forward. And I'll go ahead and say it. In my opinion, I have believed in Maida since she first ran. I got a lot of flack for it. I made podcasts about China Chente,
Mm.
Vicente owing taxes in Hidalgo County. I got a lot of flack because, as you and I know, we know people in his team that are currently still part of that team. And I was shunned out. I was criticized. But
Mm.
moving forward, I honestly wholeheartedly feel as if we're looking for someone that is going to be vocal, that is going to fight for us here in the Valley, and is going to be recognized not just here in the Valley, but in Nueces County
Mm.
in regards to name recognition, it's going to be Maida Flores.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth in what you're saying, and yeah, look, it's all in the tea leaves. If you don't, you could see that Myra is coming. She's having meetings with people in Corpus. She had a picture. She was the guest of honor of the mayor of Robstown at the county state of the county address in Nueces County. Why would she be in Nueces County if she's not running in 34? Think about it. You know, she's coming. And for those people that were messaging you, asking you about, hey, are you coming? Or last night, or is Myra coming? I mean, They may not know, they may not want to come to terms with it. It's fine, but she will be coming, and it is going to change the dynamic of the race. And it's not that and it's not a knock on Eric. It is. I want to make sure it's very clear. Not Eric didn't know that she was coming, and he could argue, "Oh, I didn't know she was coming," and I'm going to still run anyway, or he could say, I didn't know she was coming, and I'm decided I'm going to, not run. But last night it was clear that ain't happening. He wants to run. He's going to do it. He's going to show everybody. But you have to really think about how Washington thinks. How, and it's not that Myra's the Washington candidate. She wasn't Washington's pick when she ran in 2022. She ran hard, did her thing, in spite of people like me who didn't support her. I didn't support her in the primary. I didn't. General election, obviously, I did. She's our nominee. I was the vice chair of the party at that time. I needed to make sure we support all our nominee. Then she won a special election. But she has the connections in Washington, D.C. already as a former congresswoman, as a colleague. You don't think it's going to be easier for Michael Cloud, who's the current congressman over in Nueces County, who's from Victoria County, is potentially introducing his friends and say, hey, this is my colleague. It's easier to do that than to say, oh, I'm Freddie Nosa. You know me, I'm Adam's brother. Or I'm Eric Flores. You don't know me from Adam, but I was a federal prosecutor under Biden. Oh, really? It's going to be a lot easier on the party without having to have a primary fight. Republicans don't like primary fights because we're too young down here in the Valley. As it is in Hidalgo County, in State House District 40, you already have 3 people running there. In House District 41, you have 3 people running there. Can Hidalgo County handle a primary with 3 people fighting amongst themselves in a small, compact state house district? I'm not sure they can. It's not a good. But we need enthusiasm. I'm not saying that you automatically you should be handed to you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the smart money is that Myra will come in and she'll get the nomination. Yes, there are going to be people out there that are not going to be happy. There are people right now that have already decided, I'm going to take my yard sign for Eric Flores and I'm going to support him. I'm an activist in the party, and I'm going to go with him. We don't matter, guys. I'm an activist, or I'm a member of the party. I'm a grassroots guy. I don't matter. Joe Bob doesn't matter. What matters is the candidate and what President Trump thinks and what Congress thinks, what the money people think. Myra Flores has a national campaign. She can be on Fox News today. She can be on Newsmax today. She has that brand already that she has built up and that's why that's going to happen. And they can attack her, they can criticize her, but it's going to be very difficult to beat her. And and don't get me wrong, I've had conversations with Bam a couple months ago. I've had conversations with Eric. Why? Because whether certain individuals in the party like it or not, I am a leader within the party. And, people do respect my opinion, and they may not like what I have to say and say, oh, you're wrong, or okay, fine. I won't. But I want what's best for our party. I want what's best for our candidates. And with what's best for our candidates to decide, I'm not going to run in this congressional race because Myra has earned the respect of the community, earned the respect of Republicans. I'm going to bow out gracefully, and I'm going to look for something else because we have to be united for November. Yeah, that's what I think anyway.
Yeah, and you make an interesting point. I forgot about that. That Maida did create a brand. She is known, and the party is going to have to work to get Eric to that same level. Do they want to spend the money? Do they want to spend their resources on that? I don't think so. I think it's important for them to continue on with Maida Flores, somebody who created her own path, her own brand. It's going to be an easier sell, in my opinion. when we talk when you talk about people at the national level, because as you said, that's a former colleague. It's
Mm,
easier for that in opposed to introducing a brand new individual. And then you get in the murky side of things.
mm,
Eric Flores was a prosecutor under the Biden administration. Eric Flores was an attorney at La Jolla ISD during one of the most corrupted um, eras in school district history in that area of Western part of Hidalgo. So there's a
mm,
lot of question marks in regards to him, and many people. And it's funny, Roman, because here locally, I hear of a lot of people talking about transplant candidates.
mm.
Is Eric Flores a rhino? Is he a Democrat? And he said, you know what? The pendulum swing from Democrat. We saw Morgan Lamantia win as a Democrat, but now we saw the shift change this past November in the
Mhm.
presidential election, where border cities, even the whole United States, was painted red. So, is this a ploy by Eric Flores just to jump on the train, the Republican train, and say, "Hey, I'm Republican now"? It's going to be interesting to learn his voting record.
Mm.
Are people going to start looking for his voting record and say, "Hey, how long have you been identifying as a Republican?"
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
going to be, and if he hasn't, why now? What changed? I think that's very important to focus on as well.
Well, one of the things that Eric Flores will probably have. I mean, he had one of the people that was introducing him, I guess, last night, or at least, or I think the Pledge of Allegiance was the mayor of San Benito, the current mayor of San Benito, who is a Republican. I mean, he hangs out with Democrats too. I mean, I know I have Democrat friends, but he's a Republican, and he's introducing him. I mean, he supported Myra Lasco run, and he, I guess, ostensibly with Eric by introducing him or doing the pledge. And I was told by one of my friends yesterday, Roman, Eric is probably going to have so many local endorsements from local elected officials. And I guess that's going to be their strategy, is to get those local elected officials to endorse and say, "Hey, I'm from here. I have all these people. The local people are the ones that will dictate this. We're not going to be dictated to by Washington." And that's what you do when you're the insurgent candidate, when you're the person that is behind, but there's it's nothing to laugh at if he has that many endorsements locally. He works for San Benito. He's worked for many different cities, I guess, throughout the valley, in being a lawyer. uh I mean, maybe before and after being a federal prosecutor. Eric has a good resume, which is why I don't want him to run in a race where he's going to lose. I would like for him to run in a race that I think he can win. And I'm speaking as somebody who cares about our candidates. Some people have access to grind within our party, and they think only like, I was hurt by this person. I mean, look at me. I mean, everyone knows I don't like Janie Lopez. I don't. Um, she don't like me. That's fine. We used to be the best of friends, but I recognize that she's more than likely going to be reelected. I recognize that, and I know that people won't be happy with me saying that. But right now, she's more than likely going to be the nominee of the Republican Party. That there isn't enough there to be able to beat her, because she's going to have the support of Austin. Sorry, Washington. Austin. She voted the right way. The governor, no matter who goes out there and runs against her, she's going to get the governor's endorsement. That's what will probably happen here. That Myra Flores now will not have the governor's endorsement, and he'll have the leader of MAGA, the leader of the Republican Party, the leader of our country, Donald Trump, will probably come out and endorse her, and then it's over.
Are
It
you
is.
are you saying this would happen before the primary?
Um,
Potentially.
of course, President Trump has, like, for example, has already endorsed Monica de la Cruz before the big beautiful map was approved. Already endorsed her. I mean, he endorses in the primary. He picks the candidate. It's kind of like what happens in the state Senate. You're not going to be on the Republican side. You're not going to be the nominee of the Republican Party for state Senate unless you get the endorsement of the lieutenant governor of the state of Texas, Dan Patrick. you're more than likely not going to be the nominee of the Republican Party in the state house unless you get the endorsement of the Speaker of the House and, or more importantly, the governor of the state of Texas. You're not going to be the nominee of the Republican Party for Congress unless you get the support of President Donald Trump. He is the leader of the Republican Party. He will dictate who it is. And that's what I mean. It's not going to be Roman Perez. Oh, who do you support, Roman? Or, who does Deborah Bell? Who do you support, Deborah? Who do you support, Morgan Graham? Who do you, we are leaders in the Republican Party. It's not going to be that. It's going to be, who does the president support? Who does Donald J. Trump support?
That would be game over, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. And I'm just speaking real. I'm not trying to be a negative person, I know, but it's just, and don't get me wrong, last night the house was packed. He had so many people there, a lot of people from Hidalgo County, a lot of Democrats there, but he had a lot of grassroots people that supported Myra in the past. You had presidents and leaders of smaller clubs and organizations, like the leaders of the Cameron County Conservatives, the leaders of the local Republican Women's Club. I believe the leadership some of the leadership from the North Cameron County Republican Club were there. The president of the Brownsville Republican Club. There's 2 Republican clubs in Brownsville now, but one of them, so you had people there. You had precinct chairs there. But at the end of the day, it'll probably be Myra Flores who will win. People will know her name. And I'm sorry we talked more than 30 minutes. I know you wanted to talk about the soccer team, but there is so much out there for this thing. It's changing the valley. And then you have Chente out there. He wants to three-peat. He wants to beat Myra again because he's like, oh, I'm from Nueces County and I have all this support. I used to live in Nueces County. I went to school in Nueces County. I still have family in Nueces County. That was like 30 years ago. Not 30 years ago. I'm exaggerating. Whenever he lived in Nueces County, it's not the same Nueces County that it was before. Probably when he was there, Todd Hunter was a Democrat. He's now a Republican. And one of the leaders in the Republican Party. It's different. It's a red county. And it doesn't matter if they like Chente. He can go over there and paint himself as a moderate. But I'm going to give you this small little tidbit. Last week, he's out there at TSC. He's being interviewed by Texas Alamo College. He's being interviewed by Channel 5. And he says, oh, there's a lot of misinformation about what's going on with this big, beautiful bill. But you have to understand that, there are going to be tax cuts for seniors. And it's only going to be for 3 years. So I voted against that. Why in the world would you vote against a tax cut for seniors? Why? It was a $6,000 tax cut, and you admit it's a $6,000. You voted against that because it was temporary. Like every tax bill is temporary until it's not. Give me a break. Don't be dumb. But he voted against that. Do you think senior citizens are going to want to vote in favor of that? No way.
And I'm not sure if you've been seeing a commercial going around that he voted against tax on tips. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
if you watch,
give me a second. Yeah, he did. He did vote against it.
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube that he did vote against it. Well, again, lots to talk about. The maps will be official very, very soon. There is talks of Mayra Flores coming back. When will she make that announcement? If she does, best believe that we'll be following that very, very closely. The reason I invited Roman today, the main reason was because something interesting has been developing as of late, and many people have been asking me about this. And honestly, I'll be very, very frank. I wasn't aware of this in the works. Yesterday, we got word that the city of Brownsville officially approved a letter of intent to partner with the United States Soccer League, and the idea is that the city of Brownsville eventually will get a what's the word, Roman, semi-pro team here locally. What's your take on this, Roman?
Well, the United Soccer League is not a semi-pro league. They are a professional league. They are what you would probably consider a Division II soccer. In the United States, we don't have relegation where like you do in England. We have the Premier League, and then you have the Championship League. You have League One, League Two. Nations League. If anybody's ever watched Welcome to Wrexham on FX with FC Wrexham, I guess Wrexham FC. I don't know which way it is. That they've gone up. They've gone from the lowest to the low league, and they move up. We don't have that in the United States. If you're a MLS, a Major League Soccer team, you're going to stay there. You're not going to go down. You're going to be there. If you're in the USL, you're going to stay in the USL. There's no real regulation, relegation. And we had a league. We had a team here in Edinburgh. The FC Toros or the RGV Toros. What is it? FC Toros, RGV FC Toros. Yeah, one of those. And they have their soccer stadium built over in Edinburgh. They had a state of the art. It now belongs to UTRGV because they sold it because RGV FC left or stopped existing. Why did they stop existing? Was it because they weren't getting the fan base? They weren't getting the people coming to it? The USL is not the best league in the world. I mean, they're second tier, and even in the United States, they have teams in San Diego. They have a team in San Antonio. They have a team in, I think, Hartford, Connecticut. They have smaller cities that they exist, and we've already had it here in the Valley. We've had the Killer Bees, a couple of iterations of the hockey league up in the Upper Valley. We've had who else? We've had two different, I guess, basketball teams. You have a D League basketball team that's in the Upper Valley. We don't have anything here but if it didn't succeed up there, where it's considered the megaplex, it's been or the head of the borderplex or whatever that title is now. How do you expect it? How do you expect it to succeed here?
And look, I am of the belief that our city leaders should even those at the EDC level, their job is to make sure that they're bringing ideas forward that are ultimately going to benefit the city of Brownsville. But I think it's important for us to look at Edinburgh, to see neighboring cities, to see maybe other cities in Texas that have the same, it's impossible, but similar demographics to us. And if they have a semi-pro team, did they work? Are they staying afloat? Have they been successful? This idea of the city of Brownsville having a team here locally, I don't think it would be beneficial. From the FC Toros, they didn't have a good turnout. They didn't have a good team. And look, here in Brownsville, we're fortunate that we have great soccer teams, Roman. We have Rivera, Lopez, Porter, that they've won multiple state championships, if I'm not mistaken. These schools, year in and year out, compete at the state level. One could make the argument that, hey, if we have the talent, why not create a feeding ground for? I believe the FC Toros was the feeding team to the Houston Dynamo. I think that's why the orange was incorporated, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe that's the idea. Hey, Brownsville, it's we have great talent. Why not create a semi-pro team to see where this goes? Logistically, I don't know what's going to happen. We've had, if you remember, Roman, we've had women professional teams such as Los Tigres. They played at the sports park. I don't remember, and I think the sports park, it seats 5,000 visitors. I don't think that was packed, to capacity. I could be wrong. Do we have the aficionados, the fanatics here of soccer? Yes. Do we expect the Hidalgo County fan base to come down to Brownsville?
No.
I don't know. Another thing that got me thinking was, okay, we didn't get the arena. maybe this is a ploy to help out certain developers, entrepreneurs, Madeira. You know,
Oh wow, yeah.
possibly, is this a ploy by the city of Brownsville? Our plan A didn't work, plan B didn't work. Well, let's try plan C. Now, again, we are going to be supportive of this. We don't want to sound negative. We just want to be realistic. And
Mm.
what we have seen from our neighboring county, Hidalgo County, Edinburgh, Texas, is they tried this. And the difference between Edinburgh and Brownsville is, correct me if I'm wrong, Roman, they're more of a metropolitan area where surrounding cities are much larger in comparison to Brownsville. Or they're probably just competing for that title. But if they're not going to come, if they're not going to go to Edinburgh, I highly doubt they're going to come down to Brownsville. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, you're not wrong because you have McAllen has about 140,000 people that live there. You have Edinburgh, I think they have 110,000 people. You have Far, who has 100,000 people there. I think Mission has close to 100,000 people. Just in that little area, just those four cities to have 400,000 people, double the size of what happened in Brownsville. Um, the knock on Brownsville is they don't want to drive all the way to Brownsville. It's far. I'm not originally from Brownsville. I mean, I remember when I got married, they're like, well, that's so far away. Brownsville's so far away. Do people want to do that? Now, you have SpaceX, which is an attraction. You have the beach, which is an attraction. You have the zoo, which is an attraction. And maybe that's what is what the USL wants in Brownsville, that it's now a destination spot because of it. Maybe they want to tie themselves up to SpaceX. Maybe SpaceX will want to sponsor the team, and there'll be a logo on there that says SpaceX on there. Maybe it'll be FC Brownsville Space or something. I don't know. They're hoping that that'll play and people want to come down and see a soccer team, and that's an interesting idea. But the idea that you're going to have, because I think they want to do it there at the sports park, that it's going to somehow have an economic development around the area. You're not. There's really nothing there. You have Olmito, you have houses and Villa de los Pinos. You're gonna build a bunch of restaurants right next to those houses. There's not enough room. Isn't there like a ditch there or something? Like, there's not enough room to be able to build there. Or you're gonna build on the other side of the railroad track. There's a bunch of houses over there. You're gonna have people gonna go out there buy them, so there's something to do there, because that was the problem. I think I mentioned part of this yesterday with the arena and the Bird Arden Arena. You don't really have the places you can go eat because of where it's at. The same thing with the stadium. You're going to have the same potential problem with the sports park, where I think that's where they want to build this, where they're going to house it. Unless they're going to go out and buy more property and build it someplace else for them, and they're not going to play at the sports park. They'll play at the sports park temporarily until they build them another stadium. Well, where are they going to build that? Now I'm wondering, maybe they will build it where you were alluding to in Madera. Maybe they're like, the arena didn't work. We're going to build a smaller soccer stadium. Maybe that's cheaper than building an arena, and maybe that'll work out. Who knows? And you would have the shopping centers and you have all that. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, because Madera is part of the city of Brownsville. But a reminder, those of you in BISD, it doesn't belong to BISD. That is part of Los Fresnos CISD. So it doesn't benefit the property taxes of BISD. The coffers there, it'll be, if that is the case. I'm not trying to be negative. I love soccer. You and your tío, me and your tío, our team was Los Rayados de Monterrey. That was our team. We followed them. We talked about it. That was a bond that he and I had. I love soccer. I'm not a huge fan of American soccer. Like, when it comes to Major League Soccer or USL, I am a fan of the U.S. soccer team, though. I am a U.S. national team supporter. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to go every day to go see a soccer game. I'm not going to spend that kind of money. You do not necessarily have the base here of people. You have the city of Brownsville that's going to raise, give us that recycling mandatory tax. Thankfully, they're not going to raise our tax rate. We are going to raise our taxes because they're going to get more money. You have the Brownsville ISD who wants to do a bond. You have all these extra expenses. Are people going to have that extra cash to be able to go to these games? Are they going to be priced out? You and I think both like wrestling. There's a lot of people who are complaining that wrestling WWE has gotten too expensive, that people can't go see, live shows because it's too, they're not into it, and they don't have the money, they don't have the spending cash. Are people going to have the spending ability to go see a soccer game multiple times? I'm not sure. I That's just where I'm at on that. Let me see some of your comments. And my eyes are not working right now for some reason. Sandra saying, "Good morning. Do you think think marketing has a lot to do with the stadium not getting full to capacity, as strongly Brownsville lacks in that department?" That's a very good point, Sandra. That's a very good point. That had been the messaging is important, marketing is important. Look how much money they've been putting into downtown and emphasis into downtown. Are people really going into downtown? Maybe because I'm an old fogey now and I'm old and I have all these gray hairs and stuff that I don't go out. Maybe downtown's happening, it's a happening place, but I don't see it. I don't go downtown. Oh, there's a video of the RGV FC Toros. And they
Yeah.
had some good players. They had some the one of the players they had was a former U.S. men's national soccer team guy, El Gringo Torres, who used to play for the either he either played for Rayados, or I think he played for Rayados or Tigres in Mexico at one point. Um, I know he played for Pachuca. I mean, he played for USL soccer team. The coach for RGV FC was Valderrama, I think, or something like that. A really prominent coach, and he had good coaching. He had good players, people that were not necessarily from the United States. You had people from England that were playing here, Germany that were playing here. I mean, you get people from all over the world that want to be professional soccer players. That's the coach, the former coach. It's a good guy, smart guy, good coach. Um, you were saying, Frankie, I'm sorry. It's because you're in a black, so I can't tell when you want to say something.
Oh, no worries. You made an interesting point in regards to our leaders are thinking about the future. The whole SpaceX thing. SpaceX, if we weren't at one point on the map, SpaceX solidified that. People from all over the world know where Brownsville is. On Sunday, here in South Padre, on Sunday, we're going to have a rocket launch at 6:30. So for those avid space enthusiasts, Elon Musk followers, be ready for a rocket launch this Sunday at 6:30. So maybe they're trying to do like the Vegas thing, Roman. You know how Vegas, is an attraction for everybody. They said, hey, well, if the people are coming on their own, why might as well have a football team here? That would be another great attraction. Maybe that's the idea on a smaller scale, of course. Maybe that's
Hmm.
the idea of our representatives who feel that, you know what, SpaceX is the future. We need to capitalize on that. Again, people are going to come for the zoo. People are going to come to go into Matamoros, into Progreso. So why not create this attraction? So
Mm.
while they're here, maybe we could advertise and pitch the idea of, hey, come watch FC Brownsville play. Is it
Yeah.
going to last? Possibly. Is it going to last for a long time? I don't know. What we saw about the Toros, Roman, what we saw from them was that they inaugurated their season with playing the LA Galaxy, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe the league or the city could focus on playing high profile teams, exhibition matches to attract those people and say, hey, this is what could potentially be something on a regular basis. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna try to get up and get my soccer ball that I have here. I actually have a Toro soccer ball in my room, that I got when I went to a Toros game. So before I get attacked and say you don't like soccer, I'm like I would go get it, but I don't want to get up. And that's why I would thought right now when I heard something, I'm like, maybe I should get the soccer ball. I forgot to get it when we were talking because we were going to talk about it. Um, I kind of sort of lost my train of thought because I saw what Gamboa was writing. Brownsville needs to elect engineers, not lawyers. A lot to be said for that. um, I think that they're going to have people on the commission right now that really want this. They want to push it. I don't think that you're gonna have exhibit. Oh yeah, we're talking about exhibition stuff. One of the games I went to was Rayados from Mexico, Monterrey, playing the Toros, and they're, they were a Puma brand, both were a Puma brand at the time, and so they were playing, and you want to go that, but did that make me want to go see regularly a minor league soccer league thing? No. I mean, here is an interesting thing about the USL. They have a contract or with ESPN. You can watch their stuff with ESPN Plus. Oh, by the way, today's a big day. ESPN direct to consumers. The new app comes out today. So hey, you're a sports fan, you can have all that. They're gonna have WWE premium live events or what used to be called pay-per-views there. But yeah, so maybe that'll be notoriety for Brownsville. Or, they're gonna come out in on ESPN Plus. You have UTRGV. Their football games are gonna come out on they come out on ESPN Plus, and so you're gonna have that notoriety and that hey, Brownsville exists. Brownsville's on the map. It's not just gonna be about McAllen. I mean, that's probably what the commission's thinking. You have people that only think the Valley is McAllen. When you watch Channel 5 on their weather map, when they do a larger view of Mexico or the United States, it now says McAllen. This is where McAllen is. It doesn't say this is Brownsville anymore, which is insane because Brownsville is the largest city. But you even have, KRGV focus on McAllen. So maybe this is what the commission's thinking. The Upper Valley, they have their arena. The Upper Valley has the basketball team. We're going to have our sports soccer stadium, and we're going to be the soccer area, and we're going to be the soccer mecca. Maybe that's what they're thinking, hoping that works for them. But I'm not so sure. Sandra said something about downtown needs to be beautified. It needs trees and plants to make it appealing. That's one of the issues with downtown. It's ugly. I don't disagree. Who is that? Dulce El Nori. I live right by the sports park and I love soccer, but marketing does play a huge part. I have no idea when they have games. I've never seen any of the guys out in the community trying to promote. I mean, they have a lot of little league games and adult, league games and that softball and baseball that play on those fields. The idea of the sports park was to have a bunch of fields and having games and being able to have tournaments and coming down. Does that happen? It does happen. I mean, we do have people come down to Brownsville. I went to Spanky's a couple of months ago, and I was eating there, and there was a team from Corpus that were playing in a kickball tournament in Morningside. So that we do have that in Brownsville.
Roman, should we be worried? Somebody put it here. Should we be worried that they're going to want to increase our taxes again to pay for this soccer team, to pay for this stadium? Is that a possibility?
That's a good question. I mean, you had the bond that's going on. You had Superintendent Chavez, Dr. Chavez, be on Channel 5 yesterday talking about, well, we're going to have a performing arts center. We're going to use it, obviously, but it's going to be open to the public if people want to use it, so they can, I guess, try to make money. So they're already thinking about that. It's going to have 1,800 people seated public performing arts center, but that's going to cost money. $75 million to build that. The city might have to do that. They may not have a choice. I mean, you have to remember that the city of Brownsville did a resolution in support of the arena, and it was unanimous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Pedro Cardenas, even though you heard him on the campaign trail, he was, no, I don't support the arena. He supported the arena. He voted for the resolution and supported the arena. It may not have hurt him, but it may have hurt, Roy Dos Santos in his campaign, because he was the one who made the nomination for it, made the motion to do it. So yeah. Oh, Dory's saying, meaning speaking of DSC Browns. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Lolita's saying it won't work because of the contract. Compadrismo. There was something that came to me right now when we were talking about the bond. And I saw yesterday, and it reminded me now. When you listen to the news report that Stephanie Rosales did on KRGV, she made a point and the superintendent, they made a point to talk about the tax rate being at 24 cents. And it clicked on me that what the messaging is not going to be talking about the entirety of your tax bill, your tax rate, which is two. You have to remember, and BISD, school board taxes, you pay for two different taxes that's combined. That's your BISD tax. You have your maintenance and operating tax rate, and you have the sinking fund tax rate, right? You have two different tax rates. They're combined. One of them is a lot larger than the other one. But when you combine them, it comes out to a big number, right? But they're going and talking about the 24 cents because they want the people, the voters, it's only 24 cents. That's all I'm paying. It's not a big deal. But they don't remember that their tax bill really isn't just 24 cents. It included of the other. But legally they have to. They have to talk about the 24 cents because that is the tax rate that they're going to be targeting. That is where the bond money is going to come from. That's where it is. So I hope people are not fooled by that. I hope people realize that your tax rate isn't 24 cents and it's only going to go up 4 cents to 28 cents or whatever. It's going to incrementally go up 3 or 4 cents, I think is what the superintendent said. I don't want to be accused of misinformation, but go listen to the story and listen to what it's going to go up. But they're going to focus on 24 cents. But 24 cents doesn't give you all the money for their $600 million budget.
What's your opinion, Roman? I had somebody yesterday tell me, hey Frankie, I saw your show and you made the argument that people rejected the arena not once, not twice, but 3 times because even though the county stated that it was not going to be an increase of taxes, that the hot tax fund were going to essentially build the arena. But I made the argument that, okay, yes, the residents of Cameron County were still going to feel the effects of it because if you have an arena being built, well, the properties in the area, their values are going to go up, their taxes are going to go up. So essentially, they will feel that burden. And somebody said, many people rejected the arena because, we don't need that luxury. We don't need the entertainment. Look at Hidalgo County, the Pain Arena. They struggle with selling out the arena. But she made the argument, but when it comes to the children, when it comes to the students, we want to give them everything. So I do feel as if, even though, Frankie, you're stating, oh, this is a $500 million bond, which is going to increase your property taxes. Even though we know that, we're still willing to do it, to agree with this because of the children. What's your take on that?
I think obviously that's going to be employed. They're going to talk about, oh, look at these kids and they're suffering and whatever. And, I'm not saying that it's not real. Obviously we want to fix the HVACs. We want to fix all this stuff. I get that. I think you made that point. But they will do that. They'll talk about, well, the homestead exemption is really going to be higher. So a lot of homeowners are really not going to have to pay any taxes whatsoever because the homestead exemption is going to go up. Right now it's $140,000. So if your home is valued less than that, you pay 0 taxes. So you're not going to have to pay any property taxes, right? But you will pay in other ways, guys. You're going to have people that rent, that they rent a house, they rent an apartment. Guess what? Their rent's going to go up because they're going to have to pay for this. You're going to have people that have businesses that are their property tax rate's going to go up. So that means that where's it going to come out? It's going to be the customers when you go buy food, when you go buy something. That's where you're going to pay for it. And then the BID will go out there and they'll say, well, if you're a senior citizen, it really doesn't affect you because your appraisals are frozen or your tax rate is frozen, your taxes are frozen. So it's not going to really affect them. So don't listen to Roman and Frankie. Your tax rate's not going to go up. So don't worry about it. It doesn't matter that you have no children that go to BID anymore because you're 75 years old and you don't even maybe have grandkids that go to BID. It doesn't matter that you have that. You don't have to worry about it because you're not really paying taxes. You're good. You're fine. Don't worry about that. And that's what they're going to do. So what, you have a house that's worth $100,000. You're not going to pay any school taxes. You don't pay any school taxes right now. You're good. Don't worry about it. Just vote in favor because you care about the children. The children. Taxes are going to go up regardless if they build it or not. Look, I'm not so. When it comes to BISD, not necessarily. um, because uh, a lot of their tax rate is dictated by what the state mandates them. They based on compression and based off of other things. Um, you know, so it's been going down. They June, it BISD will do potentially what they did 2 years ago, where they misled. I might even argue that they lied, but at the very least, they misled people into saying that there was not going to that the voter approved tax rate election, the VAT rate, was not a tax increase, even though that's literally why you have to have a voter approved tax rate, because you're raising taxes. So they might say, oh, well, the tax rate's really gone down a lot, than it was before. Yeah, you had nothing to do with it. And that was because the state of Texas, made you go down and your tax rate go down. But it doesn't mean that your taxes necessarily went down. Oh, it's not our fault that your appraisal went up. The tax rate stayed the same. Blame them. Yeah, whatever. I'm sorry, no. I'm tired of being led by these people, whether it's at the city, at the school board. Oh, can I say something? I've seen some comments on Facebook. I know I'm saying everything. I've seen some comments from people alluding to the fact that school board members get paid. They don't get paid. As much as we may not like Carlos Elizondo,
they get paid.
No. They don't get a salary. Okay, I'll say that then. Did that make you feel better? I'll say they get.
They get paid. They get paid, people. They get paid.
There's no salary. Unlike the city of Brownsville, they don't get a salary. Your port commissioners, they don't get a salary. Unlike the county,
the city does.
The city. I said the city. And then I said the port doesn't, and the county. So the county and the city, they do get paid. Oh, and can you still believe that they want to raise their pay rates over there at the county?
Again.
Can you believe that Eddie Trevino wants a 20% pay raise? You have County Commissioner Precinct 2, 3, 4. They want a 24% pay raise, 22% pay raise. I think the Precinct 1 wants a 25% pay raise.
I apologize for cutting you off. I saw last night, again, I always doze off like at 8 or 9, and I'm looking at Crashed Out. The last thing I remember was I came across La Leona, attorney Elizabeth Valdez Garza's page, and it was in regards to the county raises. And she went on a rant, and good for her. I'm very fond of attorney Valdez Garza. She went off. She said, "Here you have the county clerk, the district clerks making $100,000. Here you have the judges, the judge getting over 100, the county commissioners getting over 100. What the heck?" And I'm referring to herself, have a bachelor's, a master's, and a law degree. What the heck? I should, someone like us who are educated, we should be entitled to that, not them. And I was like, yeah, she went hard. Like, she went hard on the elected officials. So again, why do people run for public office? It shouldn't be for money, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's crazy how much money they want. I mean, there's an argument to be said that, well, when you look at comparable counties of our size, like if you look at Fort Bend County, and it's comparable to our size, they get paid, this amount of money in our, but they live next to Houston. Their cost of living is more expensive. And secondly, we have 400,000 people that live in our county. They have like 900,000. Is that really comparable to our size? I mean, no, it's more than double than what we have. It's ridiculous that they want pay raises. Oh, but the county employees, the public sector employees, we're only going to give you a 5% pay raise.
They sent me a video which circulated, which is nothing new, which circulated and went viral when Commissioner Gus Ruiz out of Harlingen, La Feria area. I believe that's what precinct 4. Precinct 4. He I forget the constable out of that area. He went before commissioners court and he said, you know what, hey, my deputies need a raise. Our lives are on the line and we need equipment, we need this, we need that. We're humbly asking this commissioners court for a raise. And Gus Reese went off on him. How could you ask us for a raise? What are you talking about? They gave themselves a raise.
Or at least they're
Just look,
asking for it. Yeah,
look.
I don't know if they finalized it though. That I don't know yet. But
Yeah, look, I'm a former county employee. I worked in the court system. I worked for the county for 8 years. During my time there, I probably saw a pay increase maybe twice, possibly three times of like 2%.
mm,
After when it was all said and done, I think I probably bought like a sandwich and a Coke. Now, my philosophy is take care of the workers. If you take care of the workers, man, they're gonna go through a brick wall for you. I'm all about employees. I think the employee should be the first in line. I understand whenever County Judge Eddie Trevino makes the argument that, hey, we want to be competitive to let's not go that far. Hidalgo County makes a lot more than what Cameron County
mhm,
makes. And that's their argument. Hey, we need to get paid for what we do.
mm.
But my argument is the employee should be the first in line. And also, why do people run for public office? It's to make a difference. So now what we're going to see is people are going to be like those career politicians that are there just for the paycheck or just there for the benefits, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, people may. I think the argument that was made at the city was we want better, more qualified people running for office. That's why we want to start paying them. No, you don't necessarily
And, and,
get better people just
and
because you get paid.
I was going to talk. I was going to talk about this. I think tomorrow, but I guess I'll switch it up. We had Tino Villarreal, who, in my opinion, I honestly think wholeheartedly, and this is my opinion, I know he's going to deny it. I honestly feel as if him and Linda Macias were going to vote to increase the property taxes for the citizens of Brownsville because that was based on their line of questioning before the vote, before ultimately Nuris Kalansky amended the motion to keep the tax rate at same. They were alluding to the fact that, hey, $100 is not a lot. I work with the elderly population. My job is to try to maximize the amount of benefits or resources that they are eligible for. So my job is to present them options. When I tell you that these people feel the pinch of them losing 10, 20, 30, $40, it's serious. I realize like, whoa, maybe to me, maybe to Roman, maybe to Commissioner Tino Villarreal, who I'm sure gets paid handsomely by St. Joe, and he has a city salary. Maybe we could afford $100. But why doesn't he go to Milpa Verde? Why doesn't he go to Las Southmost? Why doesn't he go to Las Prietas? Why doesn't he go to the hoods? And talk to the residents. Hey, we want to do this
Hmm.
because they wanted to do this right under our noses. And I don't know if you followed Roman. I did call him out and I did tag him and I said, hey, when did you find out about this? Why wasn't there a better job of marketing this issue? Because again, this is a very important issue. This is going to affect hundreds of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you didn't address this. Again, Commissioner Villarreal, he's got a podcast. They're using the Brownsville Online, the guy that loves to use cocaine. They're using his page. He got arrested for possession of a controlled substance recently. The city gave him a proclamation, Roman, for having a Facebook page. I want a freaking proclamation from the city of Brownsville. They're using the Brownsville Online page. Did we see the city use that page to promote that? No. If it wasn't for Trey Mendez, nobody would have known that this was on the agenda. And look, I'm very critical, and I called Linda Macias clueless because I had somebody on our page say, Frankie, because of you, and I'm not taking credit, I'm just making an example. Because I saw it on your page, Frankie, I went with my mom to go for public hearing, and we spoke to them. If it wasn't for your page, Frankie, we wouldn't have known. Linda Macias said, because they argued, you know what? We didn't know that this was going on. There is a lack of transparency, lack of communication. This needs to be better. Linda Macias goes on a tangent and said, well, what you need to do is you need to go to the city website and look at the agenda. You think the common folks go to the city agenda, Roman? They go to the minutes and review what's going on? No, it's only the politicos. It's only us nerds that are constantly looking at the agenda. The common folk, they're worried about paying their bills. They're worried about their PUB bills being increased. They're not following day to day and hearing Linda Macias. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. And you're supposed to go to the city. And I was like, oh my God, somebody please cut off her mic. These city leaders, Roman, they're disingenuous. They lack that connection with the common folks. Like, again, I make the argument. If you care so much about the citizens of Brownsville, if you think that $100 and one of the presenters, Roman, said, "Oh, it's only going to be like a couple cups of coffee a month," and another presenter said, "Well, it might be insignificant to you, but this pay increase to me is a lot." I make the challenge to Linda Macias, to Tino Villarreal: pony up your check, distribute it out to 250 residents of the city of Brownsville. At the end of the day, you're servants of the people, right? Put your money where your mouth is.
I used to live on a fixed income, and I'm sorry. By the way, I don't. I've been heard of your time. I don't know about what Arroyo terminal scandal you're talking about specifically. Who's responsible for Riondo area? Depending on the city, the mayor of Riondo, but if you're talking about county commissioner, AP County Commissioner Precinct 3, David Garza, the county commissioner there. If I used to live on a fixed income when I was younger, I'm disabled, and I would, receive assistance, and having to live. I would see my grandmother when I was younger, having to live off Social Security, where it's like $600 a month, $500 a month, and every penny mattered. And, it's not like people are getting paid a lot more money in Social Security. You would see a cost of living increase. You could be getting $300 a month, and then you see the cost of living increase, and it's like $20 more. This was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when, I would see my grandmother doing that. I don't know how people can live like that. How, and even if you get help from, like, let's say a family member wants to help you out, well, you have to claim that, especially if you're getting, disability assistance, SSI. You have to claim if a family member is giving you money, and then they're going to dock it from you, when, your next month chequecito. And so, yeah, it matters. We are pricing out people from home ownership. I think there was a post from some Redfin or something where they claimed that you in order to own a home that is valued at the median price in the United States, you have to make, in order to live in that house, you have to make $114,000 a year to live there. Frankie, we are pricing out home ownership, and it's not just in other parts of the country. It's even here in the valley, here in Brownsville. And unfortunately, you have people in this community that are supposed community leaders that don't pay attention to that. Yeah. And I think, and Toker is claiming that we're a Republican page and we don't talk about Republican issues or attack. No, I care about our community. Frankie, you care about our community. I mean, we're worried about it, and we talk about these things because, yeah, it might be $100, but do you really think that the property owner that owns your house that you're renting in South Coast, wherever, is not going to raise your rent? They're going to raise the rent. What if you live on Section 8 housing? I don't think they have Section 8 here in Brownsville. Oh, yeah, they do. You have to pay a little bit more a month. You might say, oh, your responsibility is $40 this year, and you live on Social Security and you get $800. Well, now this next year you're going to have to pay $60. You don't think that $10 hurt somebody who's making $800 a month off of disability? And they have to do that because you raised the rent. And that's where people have to really think about it, that, yeah, it might be $12 a year increase for some people. It might be $60 a year increase. It hurts those people. And so just to say, oh, this is a Republican show, this is a human being show. I'm a Republican, Frankie's a Republican, but we talk about other stuff, guys. You know, you know. Uh, I think I mentioned stuff about GOP all the time. When I was on that Erasmus show, I would do that. Frankie, I think you said something about their GOP. I think, didn't you do like a thumbs down to a Republican candidate yesterday on your page?
That and I've bashed Deborah Jobless Bell. I've bashed the Republican Party. Again, I like to make this platform unbiased. It's funny because people say, "Oh, we're getting our taxes increased because they're Democrats." I laughed at that. I thought it was hilarious. But we cover the story, and we present the information black and white. Again, I have gone after the Republican chairwoman of Cameron County. How is that me being, biased? And we're only talking about the Democrats. No, I'll speak for myself. I say it how it
Yeah, I'm
is.
fair to
I
you.
have
I'm
no
you.
filter. I'll speak for myself. I have no filter. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, white, black, Mexican, purple, brown, gay, straight, lesbian, I'm aquí jalamos parejo. We're gonna lay it down. However, Roman, I just realized that for whatever reason, can you see me on the screen,
No.
Roman?
Mm-mm.
Why? That's so weird. I can see you on my screen is perfect. But people were messaging me, why are you black? Why are you black?
You've
I'm
been
like,
black the
what the
entire
hell?
time. I mean, you've
Are
been
you
black
serious?
yeah, you've been black the whole time. The
That's
whole time. And
crazy.
I'm just like, what happened? What are you doing? Why? Maybe you have a problem with your video screen. I don't know. I was kind of, maybe you didn't take a shower this morning. I don't know.
No, I did. I
Yeah, I
did,
don't know.
unfortunately.
No, I haven't seen you the entire time. It's just been me the whole time.
Can you see me now?
No, I don't see anything. You're still
You
black.
still can't see me?
Nope, cannot see you.
That's crazy. That's weird.
That is
Again,
weird.
technical glitches, technical difficulties.
What I see right now is just your little picture of yourself and when
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
talk.
yeah.
That
I
I
just did that.
see now,
Yeah, I
but
just did that right now.
yeah, I don't. Toker said when you criticize conservatives, it's about how not Republican they are. I criticize their votes. Okay. I don't know who you are, Toker. I don't know if you used to comment on the Erasmus show, but I criticize everybody. I mean, that's why some people don't like me. A lot of people don't like me
Yeah.
for that reason. I'm just gonna tell you how it is, how I think. I don't.
Roman, do you want to keep on going?
I don't know. Whatever you want to. I mean, I'm here. I'm not doing anything right now.
All right. Well, I'm free this morning. I'm busy after lunch, but if you want to go, let's go.
Oh no, whatever you want to do.
Let's talk about it. And Toker has a question. What's wrong with the BBBBBBB?
I don't know.
Many people are critical of this bill. You had your
Oh,
boy
I thought he was
Chente.
talking. Wait. I thought he was talking about the Better Business Bureau.
No, he's talking about the President Trump's big beautiful bill, where you had your boy Chente come out in a press conference, if I'm not mistaken, and he bashed it. At
No.
the end of the day, the way I see it is, and I'll talk about what I know. There have been a lot of cuts. There have been a lot of cuts in regards to Medicare and Medicaid. What I have seen firsthand, and again, I deal with this on a daily basis. There's a lot of fraud going on when regards to assistance. And again, I am a big proponent of social programs. I do feel as if we should help individuals who do have needs. I am conscientious of that. I grew up on a block of cheese. I grew up on food stamps. I will never ever forget that. Many people have criticized this bill because they are taking away benefits from individuals in the Rio Grande Valley. I would make the argument, Roman, that there is a lot of fraud that has been transpiring for numerous years in regards to the people, the recipients of those benefits. They lie. they receive benefits that possibly they shouldn't be receiving. Also, I'm going to place the blame on doctors, clinics. We had CVS who was fined, I don't know how many millions of dollars because they were uh, charging things that they shouldn't have charged for Medicare. So there's a lot of things that, in my opinion, go into this big beautiful bill. We need to cut down. We need to, cut the fat on a lot of things. And unfortunately, and this is my argument against the Democrats, Roman. And correct me if I'm wrong. And people are gonna be upset about this, but I feel as if the Democratic Party, and again, I grew up a Democrat. I feel as if the Democratic Party wants to keep us poor. They want to give us handouts. They want to make it where we need them. At the end of the day, that's what has been happening year in and year out with these social programs. They don't give us opportunities. I would much rather have our politicians work on creating jobs, creating opportunity, instead of saying, here, don't look for a job, or here, depend on me. That's my argument.
I I don't disagree. Well, I disagree in the idea that people that the big beautiful bill is making all these drastic cuts and saying, "Oh, you're hurting the people that need it the most." Like people who are disabled. You're gonna force not you're gonna make them go out and work if you're disabled. That's not in the bill. There's an exemption for people who are disabled if you receive Medicaid, for example. If you are a hardship because you're pregnant or whatever, you don't have to go out and find a job. The vast majority of people that currently get Medicaid are not going to have that work requirement. It's going to be for different people who fit that particular description. You're going to have to prove that you can go out there and find a job. You're trying to get that assistance, and I think that is the direction of the country. There's a reason why President Trump and the Republicans are in control of Congress, because that is what the country wants. They wanted this drastic change. It's very difficult. You have if you're an elected official and you lose the presidency and then you lose it and then you try to run again and you win it. That means the country like, oh crap, we made a mistake. We want this guy back. That is where President Trump is coming from. And some of it you may not like. I mean, did you see South Park last night, or were you already asleep when South Park came out?
I was asleep.
Okay, I mean they're attacking him, President Trump like crazy over ICE and all these things that they're attacking him from. They're talking about chat GPT. I mean, they have President Trump, I guess, like the new Saddam Hussein, like Saddam Hussein was back in the beginning of South Park with the movie and whatnot. So they're going hard after President Trump. You have people are attacking him for whatever reason, and that's fair. You should criticize them. But there was a drastic change that this country wanted, and that is what President Trump is trying to do. And you got to give him a little bit of leeway, and that's what the citizens of this country are doing. They elected him for the economy and for immigration, and that is what he's tackling. You don't like it? Try again and vote for Democrat if you don't like it in 2 years, and then what you're going to have for 2 years between 2026 and starting in 2027, if Democrats control the House or the Senate, it's going to be gridlock like crazy, and all they're going to want to do is investigations, and does the country want that? And if Democrats were to do that, guess what? In 2028, the Republicans will win the White House again and win Congress again, and then because you're going to make a mistake, because that is what people did not want at the end of they're in the Biden administration. They didn't want all this repercussions against the Trump administration and what they did for 4 years.
All right. Toker's saying that Gavin Newsom is gonna win the presidency. It seems.
What? Nah.
What's your take? I posted yesterday in regards to the odds of the next Democratic candidate for the presidency. Do you think it is? Because when it comes to, it's interesting because when you look at both parties, it seems as if the line of succession is already set out, in my opinion, for the Republican Party. We have a general idea in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion. We have President Trump, we have JD Vance, who could go, 8 years. We have potentially Marco Rubio, potentially being a president down the road. And then we have what's this guy, the alcoholic? What's his name? The Department of Defense. He could potentially be the president down the road. When we talk about the Democratic Party, there's not, AOC was trying to make a name. Bernie Sanders is always there. Peter Buttigieg. Uh, but we have Gavin Newsom, of course, but we don't have, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, I don't think they're strong. They're not strong candidates compared to the likes of JD Vance, in my opinion.
Well, I don't. You have In-N-Out Burger that left California. You have other businesses that are leaving California. SpaceX left California, and you have all these people leaving because they consider it a cesspool or for whatever reason. And part of it is because you have Gavin Newsom and Democrats in control of the state of California for so many years now. So I'm not, and he's going to have to live with that. I think that's going to be a problem for Gavin Newsom. I do not believe he's going to be a nominee. Peter Buttigieg, I'm not sure that he would be the nominee. I think the person that they're going to end up nominating is somebody like AOC. That is where the party's at right now. That is where the young people are at. They seem to like her BS. They like her populism or socialism or communism, whatever you want to call it. I think that's who they're going to end up nominating, somebody like her. On our side, it could be Marco Rubio. It could be JD Vance. I've heard people think, oh, it's going to be Ron DeSantis. As much as I like Ron DeSantis, I don't think the MAGA base will support him because they feel like he was disloyal to the president. It's not going to be somebody like Nikki Haley. Won't be somebody like that. I mean, you could see somebody like even, Ted Cruz maybe running. You could have Governor Greg Abbott necessarily running for president in 2028. But I think the two leaders would be Marco Rubio or JD Vance. I had a friend of mine tell me, no, Roman, it's going to be Donald Trump's son. He's going to run. I'm like, maybe, who knows? I don't think I'm not so sure about that. I think that Donald Trump Jr. is totally okay with somebody like JD Vance. I mean, they helped elect him to be the vice president. Gavin, El Toker saying Gavin is not holding back. He called him Donnie. And I don't understand people who try to be like Trump when they're not Trump.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You could try to come up with nicknames. It's not him. It doesn't come out naturally. It doesn't come out like it should. People don't want that. So I don't think it'll be Gavin. I just don't. I don't think it'll be somebody from California. I mean, if it couldn't be Kamala Harris. I mean, wasn't she going to run for governor and now she's not in California?
For Kamala.
It's too early to know who the I think you're right. I think it is too early, but we're barely in the 2026 election. I think you're right, but it's a little bit different because President Trump is, for all intents and purposes, a lame duck. He's never going to be on the ballot again.
Yeah.
And so you do.
He could be vice president, though. Yes or no? Technically.
Yeah, technically, yeah, he could be vice president. Yeah.
Technically, he could be vice president. So I'm sure these people are going through all these different scenarios, Roman. And, hey, there is a possibility he could eventually become the president for a third time. What if something happens to,
No, let's not say those things.
I'm just throwing hypothetical.
No, don't.
Gamboa seems to think that your boy Beto's going to come back and win.
No. I think he said, I think Gamboa was saying Bobby Pulido. I was like, I don't know.
Does he have a chance, Roman? Bobby Pulido in Hidalgo County?
Yeah, I think he has a shot. I think there are people. The map and 15, I think, is now what a Trump Republican plus 14. I'm not so sure that Bobby Pulido can get 14% more votes or something to make it where he can tie. I don't necessarily see it right now.
That's going to be interesting. Yeah. I hope he does run. That would be a very interesting race because Everyone knows who Bobby Pulido is. You're gonna have the women go crazy for him,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
No,
And
I think, the question's always gonna be, do you wanna have a beer with him? I think, that's what it was with former President George W. Bush. You wanna have a beer with him. You don't wanna have a beer with Al Gore. You wanna have a beer with George W. Bush. And I think that's kind of the concept with Bobby Pulido. I mean, you had, President Ronald Reagan. He was a B star, uh, or C star, um,
movie star,
actor. Yeah, movie
actor.
star. Yeah. And then he became president. Because he was a great speaker, a great communicator. It could be something like that with Bobby, but is he more likable than necessarily Monica? I could see that. I could see people believe that. You think an independent minded woman voter is gonna want to vote for Bobby? Yes, could they like him? Men might like him. They might like him more than necessarily Monica. Again, who knows? Monica may not even run in that race, and who knows? Maybe Chente doesn't run in 34. He goes over and runs in 15 because he thinks he has a better shot against Monica and then Bobby doesn't run. All kinds of stuff that could happen, you know.
That would be awkward because wasn't Pulido campaigning with Bobby and others here in Cameron County or throughout the district?
Who was Beto?
Bobby Pulido
Bobby was
was
campaigning with who?
with Chente.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Just because you're campaigning with somebody doesn't mean that you're like, hey, you can't have it. It's my turn. You know, it is. And I'm sorry if you see the word Beto. I don't like even saying the name Beto because Robert Francis O'Rourke
St.
is.
Francis then.
Oh God, yeah. I don't even know. I can't. I'm upset at myself right now for even saying the word Beto, referring to that guy. Ugh. I want to.
Roman, the audience is gonna get even mad at me for even bringing this up. But what's your take on this idea of the House of Legislators, which is being led or being pushed by the Republican Party of eliminating property taxes? Is that a possibility, Roman, or is that just political rhetoric?
No, that's been something that the Republicans have wanted to do. Remember, I think I was here on your show yesterday, and I talked about how they're trying really desperately to lower the tax rate so the state can control um, all the school districts under one roof and have the same people running from Brownsville to El Paso, whatever. It's not no longer be done by school boards.
All right.
That's part of it, that want to eliminate property taxes and go to maybe what they call a value added tax, which is sales tax. That way it affects everybody equally as opposed to just property taxes where you could, say, oh, your property is agriculture when it may or may not necessarily be. And dealing with appraisal reviews, appraisal district things and, to get rid of that kind of stuff. So there's arguments to be made. Let's get rid of property taxes. I mean, people do not want to go to an income tax. That's for sure. Because then the Cowboys are pretty bad right now. They'll be even worse because you're not going to be able to say, hey, but you don't have to pay income tax. You come play for the Cowboys. That little discount, won't be there no more. So yeah, so I could see people want a value added tax. That is something that is happening on the Republican side that they would like to push for something like that. Because the argument really is, do you really own your home?
Nope.
You're always having to pay taxes. You have Ron DeSantis. I think he was saying that, a couple of weeks ago even in Florida, because they don't have an income tax in Florida. They have property taxes. It's like, is that really right? You buy your house. Where's the incentive to want to improve your home if you do one little tiny thing like you do a paint job? Oh my God, you improved the value of your house by $100,000 and then your tax bill goes up. There's no incentive for you to want to paint your house
Right.
unless you're forced to by the HOA. And not everybody lives in an HOA. And I do not promote HOAs, homeowners associations. No. Then you really
Horrible.
don't really own your home if you live in an HOA because they can like fine you and you didn't cut your grass today. Fine. Oh, if you don't pay the fine, oh, we take your property. What the heck? Put a lien on your house.
What ramifications or implications or effects will that do to school districts who depend on property taxes moving forward?
Wait, say that. I'm sorry. I was reading Patricia's
If
comment.
if they eliminate property taxes, does school districts get money from property taxes?
Yes.
How will that affect school districts in the state of Texas? Because from my understanding, BISD depends on a large portion of their budget or a portion of their budget from property taxes, whether that's 70, 80, 100 million. It's a big chunk of the pie. What would the state do to offset that?
Again,
Because everything, as we know, nothing is free. If they eliminate one thing, they're gonna have to hit us with something else.
well, that's what I was saying, the value added tax. So when you had Janie come over and talk about, the state is trying to lower tax rates, and then local entities are raising taxes when they're trying to, what the state will then do is absorb all of their debt and say, you don't exist anymore because the special district exists because of state law. That's why the state district exists. The school district exists. They would take ownership of their debt. They would pay off their debt. You would no longer, as it is right now, the money that the state makes to pay down the debt and force the compression for school boards, that money doesn't come from property taxes, because when we pay property taxes, it doesn't go to the state. It goes to your local school district, your city, your county. They're the ones who pick it up. They get money because of sales tax dollars. They get money because of other business taxes, things like that. That's what the state gets the money. And they also get money because they're investing their budget and stuff like, the rainy day fund. They invest that money. They get interest on it. And they accrue money. So what they'll do is they'll just make a larger sales tax for the entire state, and then they would pay for your school district to exist through that sales tax dollars, just like they currently do now as they're paying down your school taxes. So yeah, I hope I answered your question. That makes sense, Frankie, to you? Because it makes
Yes,
sense.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It does. I just think that this would be. Um, I think that this would benefit so many people, because many people make the argument. When is enough enough? Because we're getting pinched everywhere. Inflation, gas is relatively affordable now. Rent is high. We have BISD asking for a $500 million bond that is going to increase your property taxes. You had the city entertaining or considering raising taxes. I think the people would genuinely welcome this. They would support this, if I'm not mistaken, because at the end of the day, you made a great point. People say, "Hey, I've already paid off my home. Why do I have to continue paying property taxes?" It's funny, Roman, because people ask me, "Frankie, why do I pay taxes to the Port of Brownsville? What the heck do I benefit from the Port of Brownsville? Can you tell me something that they create jobs and it's good for this?" It doesn't benefit, the residents, in my opinion. What are they doing that are putting food on the table? What are they doing, to help alleviate this idea of inflation? None, in my opinion.
Well, they do create jobs. They are producing that. But I agree. There's no reason for us to be paying a tax to the Port of Brownsville. Just like there's no reason why we should be having another school district tax when we pay to Texas ISD. No reason for us to do that. It makes no sense. But does Port of Brownsville a great job? Yes, but it's not. I do not believe that if you're an elected official at the port, that you're creating a job. It's the businesses that are being attracted, that they're creating a job. They're the ones paying the bills and whatnot. But yeah, you're having to lease your property from the Port of Brownsville. If you want to make the Port of Brownsville can still exist by leasing out all that stuff and making money and paying for the day-to-day operations of the port without having to pay for us in Brownsville, in the jurisdiction of in the navigational district, to pay a tax. Like that. This is stupid, dumb. And
Bro,
are we still paying for that bridge to nowhere?
I hope not.
I was asked, what's up with Nicole Collier, where the Toker was asking. I don't know. She was upset and stayed on the floor because she didn't want to have a note and have a DPS trooper.
DPS, yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Nicole Collier vote for that rule?
Did she?
Yeah, they all did. They all did. They voted for that rule. That's one of the first things they do when they become sworn in. They vote for that rule. And it was in place for that reason. These people didn't understand. The Republicans wanted to make sure that there was no quorum break that occurred ever in the future, because they didn't want that to happen, which is why they created the fine of $500 a day. That's why they did all the things that they did, including that rule. And if you want to leave, you're going to have somebody go with you. And she wants to make a stink. Oh, you want to take this person? Then why did you vote for that rule? It's your fault. It's your own damn fault. And secondly, it's your own damn fault for even leaving the state. It was gonna pass anyway. It soon show that you all were trying to do. You all decided to leave the state. Some of you didn't even leave the state. I don't even think Erin Gomez left the state. I think she was still here. I heard on the radio that there by one of, I think, your pals. I think it was your friend Brad Johnson. I think you promote him a lot on your page. I think he was on KURV, and he was talking about there were DPS people that knew that they were still in the state, that they kind of knew where they were, but they didn't necessarily want to arrest them because they didn't like the idea of putting them in handcuffs. Can they do that? And was it a hidden rule? No, it wasn't a hidden rule. They voted on the rule. You can look up the rule. It exists. It's part of their website. It's not hidden. They vote on it. Like, come on, give me a break. If you didn't want to have a DPS trooper hanging out with you until you stayed, until you wouldn't leave, then you should not have left the state. Simple as that. Shouldn't have left. Stick around.
Okay.
Don't go. Okay.
Rosas has a statement here. If BISD gets that money in taxes from the citizens, what are they doing with all that money? This is probably millions a year. The same is true with PUB charging a resaca fee.
I'm not in favor of the resaca fee. I think it's ridiculous, to be doing that. But hey, we're about to have another mandatory tax, because I don't know if Frankie wants to even talk about that. That mandatory recycling tax, which is insane, nuts, wrong. They get what? I had this problem last cycle there when I was invited by my friend Jessica Gonzalez to go hear her speak at a Democrat club meeting. It's no different than when you had Republicans like my friend, your friend, Simpson, running as a Democrat, running for appraisal district and speaking before the Southern Cameron County Democrats or whatever. No different. I went to a Democrat club meeting at Cobbleheads, and I was hearing some comments that were being made that we don't get assistance from the state at BISD. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Like, you literally just bat the budget. You get a lot of money from the federal government and the state. Here's like page 2 or something of a pie chart from your own budget. Like, you do. And so you don't be misleading people that you're not getting any money. And one of the people that I told this to was my friend, and she's like, you know what? Thank you so much for correcting me. I don't want to make misinformation like that. I thank you so much. And I like her. I mean, she's a massive liberal, but I like her. She's my friend. I'm a massive conservative, and she liked me too. We're friends. But you had Daniela Lopez Valdez going over there, and I went up to her. I didn't even do it publicly. I'm a Republican. Everybody in that room knew I was a Republican. I'm not going to go ask a question publicly and embarrass Daniela Lopez Valdez. I'm a guest. I'm not going to do that. So I went after the meeting, and I went up to her and like, hey, just giving you a heads up, whatever. And then the president of the club, is that why you're here? Is that nobody wants you here? Or something like that. Something to that extent. I'm like, dude, like, I'm just here. I'm not even embarrassing her. Like, in public, I could have gone up and say, you're wrong, you're dumb, don't say.
What meeting was this, Roman?
I was some meeting with at the Southern Cameron County Democrats or whatever. and I'm just like, and then Daniela said something like, well, it's because, we're not getting more money for the daily allotment, but that's not what you're saying. You're saying you're not getting any help from the state. You get $0 from the state. You get X amount of dollars from the state of Texas. You get X amount of dollars from federal government. You get X amount of dollars from local taxes. Give me a break. Come on now.
That clueless chingo.
But hey, but she's the expert, whatever. Yeah.
My issue with the Resaca bill is their whole thing is, we need a dredge, we need to clean Resacas because of hurricanes and floods and stuff like that. In my opinion, all it does is just benefits rich people that live on the Resacas. They have a clean Resaca. At the end of the day, Brownsville still floods. Just yesterday, Roman, we had Boca Chica, Security Drive, Los Ebanos. Brownsville, with a little bit of water, is we're flooded. So why are we paying for a resaca fee where most of the raza doesn't even live by the damn resaca? It's the
Yeah,
rich people.
they've been
It doesn't
talking
make
about
sense.
they've been talking about fixing that area forever. They've they bought a lift fee or something over there by Four Corners. They were supposed to alleviate the issue there, and it hasn't. Now they want to do a detention pond over there in Walmart, and that's going to fix it. It probably won't. They've already done something like that when they did the fix the intersection of McDavid and Boca Chica. That was supposed to alleviate the issues because there's another area by the Brownsville Housing Authority area. I think that's where it's at. I mean, they've done everything they possibly can, and they haven't done it. They hadn't fixed the problem. It's still happening. But yeah, sure. Let's keep paying this obnoxious, resaca fee all the time. Let's just add another fee, for recycling and insane nut stuff that nobody has ever really wanted. The only people that want it are the goody two shoes of this community, I guess.
It's funny, Roman, because
I
people are sending me messages. They're sending me international is all. Oh man, international. I avoid international as much as possible.
well,
You know where I go, Roman? Whenever I need to go downtown, I
mm,
go through Morningside. I go through Morningside, and then I go through Southmost, and then I go to like UTB, UTRGV, and then I'll get downtown to avoid international. It's freaking crazy, man. Like it's. I hope again. It's been under construction for what, going on a year now, possibly longer. It's a mess, man. It is a mess. So anytime I need to go downtown, I avoid that sucker. I go through freaking. I go through the Morningside area. But
mm.
it was funny, Roman. Yesterday when we did have that flood, I don't know if you saw. I posted a picture of the river walk here in Brownsville on Boca Chica, and it's crazy because why do we want to do this river walk thing? That's another issue. We want to have a river walk for what? Let's fix our damn streets before. I don't know why these politicians are so hell bound. Again, if we talk to developers, if we talk to entrepreneurs, we talk to the people with capital. Of course, they're going to want to build. They don't care about the needs or pressing needs of the city. They could care less. Their objective is to make money, unfortunately. But I think it's funny whenever we have pressing issues such as the flood, and the city of Brownsville is more or I'm not sure if it is the city of Brownsville or a county issue, but they're more focused on building this damn freaking Riverwalk. We're not San Antonio. We're not Mexico City.
You're being
Let's
too
fix.
negative.
I
You're being
know.
too negative.
I
Like they want to
know.
make it. There's going to be an attraction to Brownsville. That's why we're going to do all these awesome things, Frankie. I mean, it's like you're. I'm listening to your Theo all over again. You're just so negative, so negative. Brown Boca
Yeah.
Chica Riverwalk.
That's funny, right? Like they said this to me. I was like, no way. I was like, man, you are a genius. I couldn't stop laughing, man, because it was true. I was like, what the hell? Like, this is what the people want. This is what we need. We need a river walk in the city of Brownsville. And correct me if I'm wrong, Roman. Is this river walk? Because whenever I heard about this river walk, per se, this idea of the river walk, it was by Denny's. Denny's by the border?
Oh,
That's
Danny's, right?
Denny's. Sorry, Danny's by the
Mhm,
border.
mhm.
That's where that was my understanding of where the river walk was going to be. And I was like, really? You're going to have a river walk? Or you're going to have people crossing the damn river and people are going to be eating there and be like, mira, ahí va mojado. Mira. Like really? Like we really want that? Oh my
I,
God. I don't
I
know.
didn't.
I didn't think that was feasible then. Maybe it's feasible now. I don't know.
I don't understand how you're going to be able to have a river walk on the river when you have an international country on the other side, and you want to have border security. I just don't understand how you're going to be able to do that. You know?
Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure of where because they recently presented, if I'm not mistaken, either before the city or there's pictures out there of a potential river walk here in the city of Brownsville. I don't know of where this location would be located, but again, this isn't something new. This is an idea that's been floating around for 10, possibly 15 years ago. So I'm not sure of where the new quote unquote Riverwalk is projected to be.
I don't know. Toker's asking a question. Go look at the Texas legislature online and look at the House rules and read the House rule. That's it. Read it. Read the rules that give the authority for the Speaker of the House and the people that are there to make a rule and make them do these things. I'm not gonna. I just go and read the House rule. It's online. Texas legislature.
Roman, go for it. Go.
And I'm just like, she doesn't sign a rule. You vote for a rule. Go look when the House rules were passed. Look how she voted. That's it. It's not a sign thing, Toker. Like, come on. Like, I'm done talking about it. I'm sorry you had to bring up that. I'm sorry that woman didn't want to leave with a friend, to protect her. Make sure she come back home. I mean, sorry, to the house, sorry, to home.
With a friend. You got a friend in me. Roman, we've been on for 2 hours, man. Okay, anything else?
Nah, we're good. I want to, we'll talk later. I'll maybe come on next week or something like that. I don't want to take over your show all the time. I know that you asked me yesterday, and I was like, we didn't talk, and I know you wanted to talk about the maps and stuff. So I think, yeah, I'll come on. We'll do it. But yeah, anytime. Next week or something.
Man, get on it, man. I don't care. Look, I'm looking for ways, and I say this, as honest as possible. I want to keep it fresh for people. I don't want to dull our audience. I don't want to dull our platform. While we do have good viewership, and I think people do appreciate this new way of podcasting, because this is very different. I have OCD, if you haven't noticed already, and I'm very particular of I guess the production behind the show. And I think people is more of an interactive type of podcast where people, they see pictures and they see what we're talking about, and maybe they can relate to what we're talking about, or maybe you have a better understanding of that. Mm-hmm. And I always want to keep it fresh. I want to bring on people. That's the idea. I don't. It's like how Toker says, "Oh, this is just a Republican platform." No, I want to bring people from all walks of life, from different perspectives, with different ideologies, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all about. We could agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, I still respect people's opinion. I still want to know what's out there. So don't take it like that. Don't take it like, oh, well, I'm taking over your show. No, like, again, my platform is your platform, man. So whenever you're available, whenever you're free, let me know.
Yeah, always. But well, I appreciate it. Hopefully, I gave some info. Hopefully, I didn't upset people just earlier in talking about how Myra's going to come back. And if I were to give a prediction, I would predict that no later than Tuesday of next week.
Damn, that soon?
I think that'll happen because look, circling back the line that Jen Psaki always would use, the maps will be finalized. We know what the map will be at. I would expect her to announce at that point. And it's not, and people will say, oh, it's too late. People are already making their choices with Eric or whoever. I mean, we're not even Labor Day yet, and the primary is in March. I was talking to a friend of mine in Hidalgo County yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and we were talking about the maps. He's like, well, what if I don't think the maps are going to go into effect next year? And I'm like, guys, we're actually ahead of the game when it came to like in 2021, sorry, when they approved the maps. It was like in October. We're now in August. And we were still able to have the primary election in March. I don't think we're going to have a problem. The maps are going to be fine. They're going to go into effect. And even if they're not able to go into effect in March, they can always push back the primary to May, like to May, like they did in 2012. I think, 2012. And they can always push it back if they need to in order to have a primary. It'll happen. He'll be fine. Yeah. I think there's still people commenting about like Erin Gomez. They're, oh, we're proud of her. I'm not. She gets paid to be there. She even gets an increase in stipend because of special session. Her staff gets a special stipend because it's special session, and we the taxpayers have to pay for that Do you have any idea how expensive a special session is to taxpayers? It's expensive, and she should show up for work. So no, I'm not proud of her at all.
I think
Mhm.
it's funny that I haven't seen the video of you mentioned that Eric Gomez called out Representative Lopez is saying, "Why are you fleeing?" Or what'd you say?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah,
Are,
yeah. So the way it worked at the House, it's different than in the U.S. House. But if you ever watch the House in Texas, you'll have a person that's presenting the bill, introducing the bill, and they introduce it from the front mic, which is right facing the members, and underneath the dais where the speaker's at, and they'll start talking, and then you'll have there's a back mic, and anybody can go up that's a member and say, hey, Mr. Speaker, and they're like, right, and completely interrupt the person that's talking, right? Completely interrupt the person that's talking, and then like, why? For what purpose do you rise? And the person would say, will the gentlewoman stand for a question? And then they'll ask, will you? And they can say, sure, yeah, okay, I'll stop talking. Yeah, I'll answer your freaking question or whatever. Or they can say, not at this time. And that's what Janie did. Not at this time. Let me do my thing. And then she started talking in Spanish. I thought she spoke better Spanish than that. She referred to Yo soy del Rio Grande. And I'm like, I don't think we're from the river. I don't think San Benito's from the river, but whatever. And she started doing it in Spanish, and then she stopped, and then again Aaron asked, will the gentlewoman stand for a question? And Jane just walks away. She walks away. And then she says, oh, or are you going to flee? She's like, and then the person that was standing for the speaker, because it wasn't the speaker at that time, it was somebody else.
uh-huh.
He said, well, the gentlewoman had yielded the microphone, so tough, I guess. Like, whatever, you know. But that's a tactic. That's parliamentary. She doesn't have to take it. You know, I don't have to answer your questions, Aaron. Like, who cares? That's what. And do you really? I mean, does Janie really want to answer anybody's questions? No, she just wants to give her 45 seconds speech. Yeah, I'm gonna let's move on.
Could the argument be made, Roman, that it was really Aaron Gomez who was fleeing, not JD Lopez, because Aaron
No,
Gomez couldn't be found for a while.
yeah, well, she fled, but that's why she's using the argument, because I'm pretty sure that Janie was posting on her social media. I don't know. I'm blocked by her, so I don't know. I think
Gee.
half her constituents are blocked, but I'm not a constituent, so it doesn't really matter. Um, anyway, I'm pretty sure she's gone out there talking about how Aaron Gomez and other Democrats have fled, and they're whatever. So I think that's why she used the language of flee. I mean, that was a smart tactic on Aaron, but who cares? You still lost. Ultimately, you came back. You made the argument. I'm coming back because I want to work out, and we're going to do the flood. And you're in the minority, chick. We're not gonna. It's not gonna help. You're in the minority this time. The Republicans were very, very united on this issue. They're also very united on fixing the flooding issue and trying to pay for it. You all shouldn't have left, and you all did. It was, and all they really did. I believe Brad Johnson said this on KURV. The Speaker of the House, the Republican leadership of the House did not expect the Democrats to leave.
They did
And
it?
they didn't. Even when they left, they didn't even find out till like the last second. They're like, "What are y'all doing?" And I think there would have been some people who might have voted against the redistricting bill, but all it did was unify the establishment wing of the Republicans in the House and the more what people call grassroots, or the more conservative side, the more MAGA side, I guess if you want to say that.
Maga.
They were very much like they were united, and they're like, you know what, screw this. You all left. It's gonna pass anyway. It's hot. It's the summertime. Some of them might have had plans to go out with their families, and now they're not able to do it. They're gonna be here, essentially from the end of July to August. People starting school. I mean, some of them are parents, or grandparents. Come on. Like, why are you doing? You're gonna pass anyway. Let's do this work. Let's get it over with. And they didn't care. So here's what it is. Come on.
And I just think it was funny, the whole
I don't think
we're
I'm.
leaving thing, and then I don't know. I think it was just a delay tactic. The inevitable was going to come. The maps was just a matter of time. The way I see it is, you have Toker, Gamboa saying, "Oh, we applaud, we support Aaron Gomez." At the end of the day, she didn't show up to work.
He didn't.
When it all comes down to it, if Toker, Gamboa, if they work for someone, for somebody, or if they did, or let's talk about their kids or their family members. If their family members told their bosses, which we, the constituents, are the bosses of our representatives, if they told their bosses, you know what, I don't feel like going to work, I'm not going to show up. Guess what would happen to all, if not most of us?
You're fired.
Thank you for your time. Your services are no longer needed. That's what would happen in the real world, in my opinion. So at the end of the day, I think, and I alluded to this earlier in another program, Roman, where we talked about Alex Dominguez. Alex Dominguez also was part of a, what do you call it, a walkout when he was running as a senator. They left in buses, and he went live and saying, "You know what? I'm doing this for the people of Rio Grande Valley." It didn't turn out so great for him. Are the people going to unite behind Representative Gomez the way Toker and Gamboa see it and say, "You know what? She's fighting for us"? Or are there going to be people to say, "Oh, well, we'd rather have fighters that actually show up and fight instead of fighting through the laptop"? I don't know.
I mean, look at what Todd Hunter did yesterday. He just told them, "You left the state for 17, 18 days, and you're going to come over here and say that we weren't working together? You all left. Don't leave. Stick around." And I mean, Todd Hunter is a more, I said earlier, Chairman Todd Hunter was a former Democrat switch party. He's not considered. If you look at his voting record, if you look at some of the scorecards that are out there from maybe the Young Conservative of Texas or the Texans for fiscal responsibility, if you look at their scorecards, he's more on the more liberal side of the Republican. I mean, you go from left to right on. Somebody's gonna be the most liberal, somebody's gonna be the most conservative based on their voting record, and he usually is on the left side. Or if you want to look at the Rice marking, I think he's like number 13 or number 12 in terms of the most left leaning. I'm not saying he's a leftist, like a commie or something. I'm just saying he votes more liberal than say somebody like Brian Harrison in the House or Steve Toth. That's but he's more an establishment Republican. He likes to work with Democrats. A lot of them are his friends. Again, former Democrat, and even he was like, "Screw this. You left. Forget this." And he did it calmly, very frankly. He held his ground. Smart guy. You're not gonna mess him up. He's been in the House for so darn long. It's not gonna happen. But even he was upset. The Democrats that left, like Collier, upset people. I mean, our former Cameron County Republican Party attorney, Mark McCaig, an awesome human being. He actually filed a Texas Ethics Commission complaint against Gene Wu and for using video cameras on the house, videotaping Collier being there, live streaming it, and using it to make money off of that. He filed a Texas Ethics Commission complaint yesterday. Which is awesome. Mark is awesome that way, and he did that, and it forced Gene Wu to change his oh crap, we made a mistake. They may be fined by the Texas Ethics Commission for doing what they did. That's what it is. Yeah, this is not a
Roman
government.
Yeah. You did allude to earlier that that your boy Bam Bam was stepping away from the congressional race. Would he possibly be challenging your girl Erin Gomez?
That's my understanding. Is he's going to run against Erin Gomez?
Oh, really? Breaking news!
That's my understanding. Breaking news. I think most people know that. And would he have a shot of folks? Oh, not the common folks. Oh, that's right.
You see, you're part of the 2%, Roman.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. Yeah, but let him announce whatever he's going to do. I mean, like I said, he announced his endorsement of Eric Flores, and my understanding is that he's going to run for 38. Good luck.
How do you see that race, Roman?
President Trump lost House District 38 by 0.7 points, 7/10 of a point. That's what not a lot of work into Brownsville, but other people that were on the ballot in that same area didn't do so well that were Republicans. So if Bam is going to win, it's going to take him raising money, and I think that people like Texans for Lawsuit Reform, I could imagine them giving him some money because they don't necessarily like Aaron Gomez for whatever reason. And you'll have other people giving money and fund candidates. And it's my understanding that people in Austin are ready to throw tens of millions of dollars into state house races in the Valley because they see an
Damn it,
opening.
boy.
And they see an opening. And I don't blame them. You have people like Jonathan Gracia, who ran as a Democrat against Janie Lopez, who lost by 10 points in a district that was drawn for a D+2 seat, just 4 years ago. And he got very little support, if any support, from the Democratic machine in Austin that was run by, our former county judge, Gilberto Hinojosa, the state party chairman. I mean, you had him not get the help that he could have got. I'm not saying he didn't get any help. I'm just saying he didn't get anywhere near the amount of help that somebody like Janie Lopez got. I mean, Janie Lopez, I think I was on your Theo show before he passed, and we were talking about that. I mean, she received in contributions, whether in-kind or monetary actual money, I think it was in-kind contributions of close to $1.5 million in a span of 30 days, and beat the crap out of Jonathan Gracia, who I know had people that were Republicans that were supporting him. And so if Republicans decide that they want something in the Valley, they've been investing in the Valley since 2022, since that wave election. Every year we've had Republicans elected in the Valley. I mean, in Cameron County specifically, we have Alex Torres, who's a justice of the peace. You have Chuck V, who's a justice of the peace from the Harlingen area, from precinct, I think precinct 5, I think is the number that they're at. It's different than the county commission seats. I think they're precinct 5. They got elected. You have a constable in precinct 1 who held that seat for a while. You had individuals that were on the ballot statewide that won in Cameron County, and they're going to continue to spend money. And do you really think that Democrats in Austin are going to fund people here in the Valley? Why would they? I mean, when you have people like Oscar Longoria, Sergio Munoz, Terry Canales, Armando Mando Martinez, 4 Democrats that were in the state house, and they showed up, do you really think that people in Austin are going to be happy that they didn't join the fight with the other Democrats that didn't show up? Like Aaron Gomez didn't show up and Bobby Guerra didn't show up. Why did these other Democrats do? It's because people in Austin think one way, and they've said that the Democrats in the Valley are now, what's the word? Traitors to the cause.
What?
I mean, look, Frankie, the Valley went red for Trump, not red for every Republican on the ballot. They went red for Trump. I mean, hell, your Theo is a Republican and he got elected, to the Brownsville ISD. So you had Republicans getting elected, right? Why would they want to do this? Why would they? They'd rather spend that money in Austin and San Antonio and El Paso, maybe in Houston and Dallas, where there's a lot more heavy concentrated amount of Hispanics that think the way they think, that are easier to convince than the people here in the Valley because we're more conservative. You have conservative Democrats. I mean, look, you obviously had people that were Trump supporters, probably conservative Democrats that voted for Trump, but then went in and voted for Chente. And that exists. And so they don't like, I mean, maybe I'm speaking out of my butt, but I've talked to Democrats who have told me
what?
That they're like, why would we want to support people in the Valley? Like, you don't forget you all, because the conservative Democrats are different down here. I'm not saying that they themselves know what a woman is, but they might, because they still have that D by their name. They may not know what a woman is. I don't know.
What is a woman?
I don't know. I know what a woman is, but if you're Democrats, don't. I know what a woman is. You know what a woman is. I'm pretty sure
that's hilarious, man.
Knows what a woman is, but certain Democrats
Let's ask Toker. Toker, do you know?
What a woman is? I don't know. I don't. Toker does. Toker does.
Let's hope.
Anyway, but so you have Republican. Look, Governor Abbott wants to win the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't win the Valley in 2022. He wants to win the Valley. He wants to prove a point. And so you're going to have millions and millions of dollars being pumped in where the Democrats do the same thing. Or whether are Democrats lazy? Do they know how to run a data-driven campaign? Do they know how to do that in the Valley? Because they've been in power for so long, do they know how to do it? And Republicans are betting that they don't. And even if they do and they win, they're going to come back in 2 years. We're going to keep funding it. We're not going to stop. Because Republicans have now figured out what people like myself and people like Morgan Graham would understand, or Carlos Cascos understood, is that you need to start attracting conservative Hispanics into the party.
Right.
Because we are the future.
Have they been doing that as of late, Roman?
They have.
In your opinion?
They have. I mean, look at the amount of money they're investing in the Valley. And it really started when they saw somebody like Myra Flores winning in the special election in 2022. Right. And you have people like Project Red Tax that are funding here in the Valley, funding lower, local candidates. Local Republican candidates. Unlike the Cameron County Republican Party, who gives money to Democrats that are running in that part of the races. Did I say that?
Ouch.
But Project Red Tax funds that Republicans and pays for their filing fees, help them out. And do Democrats do that here? I don't believe so. Why would they? Anybody can file. I mean, didn't Anselmo Naranjo file run again for JP4?
JP, yeah.
And he's going to run again an incumbent. There's no net.
What is that? Los Fresnos, right?
Yeah. Los
Fresnos.
Yeah.
And who's he going up against? Mendoza, right? Mendoza's been there for a while, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
He's a strong candidate. I know Anselmo. I believe he is an immigration, or he's an attorney. He's an attorney that previously ran for TSC against Alejandra. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he did run.
No, it wasn't Alejandra, was it?
I believe so.
No, because I don't. Did he? He might have. I don't think he did.
I believe it was against Alejandra.
Because Alejandra's up next year, right? And I thought Anselmo ran like 4 years ago.
Yes. No, because he ran when Erasmo and I ran for BISD in 2020. So yes, okay. It coincides because we're 25.
Yeah.
TSC's next year, 26. So yeah, he did run for TSC. I want to say against Alejandra. I could be mistaken. But Mendoza is a formidable candidate who's been in office for at least a decade, if I'm not mistaken, because I used to work for the county for 8 years and I've been away from the county 5 years. So you add that, 8 plus 5, what is that? 12, 13, that's 13. So he's been there for a while. So
do you think Anselmo thought that the judge was not going to run for re-election and that's why he decided to run for this?
No, well, possibly. I do believe that I know Anselmo. I don't know him like personally. I did. He was part of Leadership Brownsville. He is close with the Hernandez family, former county commissioner Hernandez for Precinct 2. He is close to that family. I did meet Anselmo. He was part of Leadership Brownsville a decade ago when we were both there. I think he's a great candidate. But will the people come out and vote for him, or are they going to stick to somebody that in the primary, right? Yeah. That is somebody compared to somebody that's more established. But only time will tell.
I mean, he just won re-election. She may not even run for re-election.
Who's this?
Erin Gomez. That's one combo. I thought we were gonna leave, but I guess we're still talking.
No, keep going.
No, because. What if?
Why do you say that? Why do you say so? So what? She might run for Congress. She might run for Senate. She might run for.
What happens? What happens if Chente decides I don't want to run in 34 anymore because I'm scared of Myra, and he decides to run in 15 or wherever his house is in McAllen, or decide I'm not going to run anymore. I'm going to retire because he can retire and still earn a paycheck.
Roman, you're a numbers guy. You're a numbers guy. Okay,
Mhm.
so we saw how the margin shifted 10, 11% towards which we think would be favorable to the Republican, the GOP.
Mhm.
Mayra lost against Chente in a different map by 1 or 2%. Wouldn't the Democrats see that as a disadvantage and saying, you know what, the odds are against me. Why am I going to spend money, time in a race that possibly, hypothetically could not be won by the Blues?
Well, they argue one, Trump is not on the ballot, and that was a Trump plus 10. They will argue that historically, the party in the White House loses seats. There's usually a backlash against whoever the president is, and so they think that, and they believe that all this is an anomaly that you have South Texas people voting Republican, and they see, or they've already seen that you have people like Myra, for example,
Mhm.
and others that have not been able to get elected, even though Trump went the same thing. But and I guess that's what Eric is going to argue, that I'm a winner. Don't pick her because she's a loser, like whatever. Um,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, that's what Democrats are banking on. But because Republicans have invested, and I'm using the word investment specifically because that is what they're doing. They're going to continue to spend money and figure out, we're gonna find out who our voters are down there, and
Mhm.
we know who they are. We're gonna contact them. We're gonna work with them, whether they're Protestant that go to church all the time. I mean, it's no different than what's a little bit different, but kind of like what a politiquera does. They know their voters. They take their
Yeah.
candidate and they say, "Hey, I want you to meet this candidate, and you're going to vote for." Oh, okay, see me, and then they'll bring them something and whatever. But this is at a mass scale where they're like, they
Right.
know their voters. They know what magazines they read or where they're subscribed to. They know how to contact them. They may not be the Republican that votes in the Republican primary, but they know that they're conservative. We can convince them. And they've been doing that for years to the detriment of local Democrats. And so now they think, we can still pull this off for Myra. And, you know, that's what will probably happen. So, yeah, there you go. Roman, I noticed ICE isn't attacking Brownsville compared to other areas that are Democrats. I
ICE
I
is hitting the whole United States, aren't they?
I don't know. I'm just I maybe I don't go out much because I'm not I I do go out, but
For fear of
um
being apprehended by ICE, Roman?
no. I mean, I live along the border. And I see border patrol all the time. And like, no big deal. I wave them down. Hey, what's going on? I don't have a problem. No, no. But are you trying to say that they're not hitting people like in Harlingen, or you're talking about people that are Democrats in like in Los Angeles and throughout the country? I want to make sure I understand your question, El Toker. No, I don't know what you mean.
So that's interesting, Roman. That Bam Morales, that he's going to get funded because maybe the GOP, how they rallied against on this issue of the Democrats leaving the Capitol.
Mm.
Maybe they see this as an opportunity and saying, hey, they're going to try and maybe exploit this and say, hey, we have Aaron Gomez who wasn't present. Let's throw money in that race and let's try to win it.
Oh, I could believe it. I mean, it's not necessarily one of the targeted districts. I mean, there are other targeted districts that are out the ballot. I'm not gonna say which ones they are because, well, I don't want to help the Democrats. I'm trying to help Republicans get elected. I'm trying to find good candidates. But
Right.
I mean, but then again, the people in the know, the data people, they know districts that are winnable for a Republican and what's winnable for a Democrat. What's safe. But I will just tell you, in Aaron C, like I said, Trump lost by only 7/10 of a point, and that's without us having a candidate in State House 38. And I would argue, and I'll say this, why not? I had talked to Deborah Bell, who was supportive of Myra, right after Susan Rubalcaba lost her election. I was at Mi Torito, and I was trying to convince Deborah Bell, because that's what I do. I may
Uh-huh.
not necessarily like a person, but if I can see potential in a person, and I want to encourage people to run as Republicans. I've been doing it for years, because I think that's my gift, I guess, to my wanting to grow the party. And so
Mhm.
I told Deborah Bell, I would really like for you to consider running for state house in 38. We, I tried to tell her that you run there, you actually might help Myra more because Myra needs to work in other areas like in Hidalgo County, in Harlingen, and Clayburgh, trying to drum up support. We don't have a good, strong candidate in Brownsville who can just literally put feet on the pavement and boots to the ground and just knocked on
Mhm.
doors and try to convince people. I told her you're not going to win, probably because it's such a very Democrat seat, but you could be the difference between Myra winning and losing because you're going to be able to drum up more people coming out to vote. And I still believe I was right. Myra lost by a point and a half. Those votes could have been from 38. And then later on when now that I found out that Trump only lost by 7 tenths of a point, Deborah Bell might have been able to run against Aaron Gomez. Aaron Gomez wasn't going to run a hard race. She didn't think she's going to lose. And what if Deborah Bell went out there and worked hard? And even though she's white, she might have been able to maybe win. You never know. And unfortunately, she didn't listen to me. She wants to run for county chair, and now she's county chair. And like, yeah, I guess congratulations, whatever. I want the best candidate. Now, Bam running. When I spoke to him a few months ago, I said, you should really consider running in 38. And he apparently had considered it before, and he didn't for whatever reason. He didn't know me in 2 years ago. Maybe if he knew me 2 years ago, I would have talked to him into running 38. But I guess now he's decided that this is a good opportunity for him to run in 38. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Deborah Bell's going to decide to run in 38. As opposed to running for reelection. I don't know. But my understanding is Bam's going to run in 38, and he speaks Spanish. He's a good-looking dude. He's smart. He's a business owner. He will have potential money coming in. It'll be interesting.
Do you-
Do I think that Erin should win? Yes, because she has the advantages of incumbency. She has the advantages of people know who she is. Brownsville's a fairly blue city. I mean, we have a bunch of people that wanted to ban plastic bags, so she already had that in her. She's not necessarily a conservative Democrat. She's more of a left Democrat. She have that. If Bam can go into churches and talk to people and tell them his life story, how he's a veteran, how he is a pastor, has a family, really, hit that up and work, served in the military, all that kind of matters. And that might be a story that people in Brownsville will want to listen to, and then maybe not vote for Aaron Gomez. And again, what if Chente decide not to run? Who is around here that could actually run for it? Do you think Morgan Amantia is going to run for Congress, knowing that it's a plus 10 seat? Probably not. You're going to need somebody. If you're on the Democrat side, you're going to need somebody who's going to be vocal out there. I mean, could you imagine Aaron versus Myra? I think Myra still beats the crap out of her, but she'll take it to the fight to her. I mean, she's a supposed successful attorney. I mean, I'm saying supposed. She's a successful attorney. Her and her father. I mean, she's respected in the community. I may not like her politically, but as a person, I think she's a nice, kind person. But politically, we don't agree. Yeah. So it'd be I could if there was anybody that I could see running for Congress, it would be somebody like her. If Chente doesn't do it, I would have probably even said even Norma Sepulveda, the mayor of Harlingen. I would have said that, but she just ran unopposed, and I don't think she's going to give up her seat, to run for Congress if Chente doesn't do it. Honestly, Chente shouldn't do it. If Chente were smart, he'd just like, you know what, I'm just going to retire. I'm not going to do it. But
what do you think is going to be the ultimate factor for Chente stepping out?
if they do a poll and he's getting his ass beat, I mean, frankly, yeah, that would be it.
So if this is the way I understood, Roman, Bam Morales stepped down from his congressional candidacy because maybe Eric took over. People gravitated more towards Eric. And then this whole idea of Mayra coming back, this possibly, was the nail in the coffin for Bam and said, you know what? There's possibly two other candidates that are possibly going to duke it out or have a better possibility than I am. Is that what you think happened with Bam's decision to step down? That he saw Eric got all this attention, and then there's talks of Maida coming back, and then he's like, well, if Eric doesn't take it, Maida's going to take it.
It's really about fundraising. And when you have 8 or 9 people running and you don't have the money to raise money to be able to get your message out, you're going to be drowned out. You're going to lose. And that's essentially what I told Bam. And I mean, I haven't spoken to him in a couple of months. Maybe he listened to it and kept it in the back of his head and realized that, I'm speaking truth. And I'm not there to hurt anybody. I want to prop up our candidates and I want to support our candidates, and I want them to understand that, sometimes you're better. Not everybody wants to run for office. Not everybody can be like your Theo running for office all the time. Not everybody can be you, Frankie. I think you run for a couple of times, for office. It takes a lot of hard work. I've run for office. It takes a lot of guts. It's difficult. You getting your name out there to want to run. So when I see, little Roman Bettis over here, she's a guy named Bam, seems like a good guy. He wants to run. Why do I want somebody like him to waste his time and energy running in a race he's not going to win? Why don't I just encourage him to say, come over here? You might not win here, but there's an opening for you. There's hope for you here, and maybe do that. Because I don't want to waste this opportunity. I don't. I mean, I'm just speaking for me as an individual. So, yeah. So maybe that's what happened with him. And I'm hoping you listen to me. I'm hoping you listen to other people. I mean, I'm not saying I'm God's gift to politics. I'm not God's gift to the Valley Republican Party, but I'm trying to help, and I care. I know there are people in the Republican Party that despise me, can't stand me. They see me like, ugh, I hate that guy. And I'll be like, there's a reason why people will talk to me, because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you what's what. And that's why like your Theo would always have that's why your Theo was one of my best friends. I mean, we're close. And because he knew, and he said on his show all the time, like, you may not like Roman, but you got to like talk to him to find out what the hell he thinks, because he might have a point. Yeah. So anyway, what else is commenting? And we got to go because it's already 2.5 hours. Nobody's going to want to watch it. I mean,
no, hey, actually, Roman, that's what I want to do. I want to do like 2-3 hours of like news stuff.
You think you're like Joe Rogan, or what the hell, man? I can't even watch 2-3 hours of Joe Rogan.
Like Alex Jones, bro, like a little network. Like, no. Again, it's time consuming, but I want to do that. Like, I really want to do that. And so I appreciate someone like you that is knowledgeable and that is willing to, to speak your mind. I think it's very important for people, to listen from other perspectives, because here we're dominated by a Democratic viewpoint that, they have this tunnel vision where it's, if you're anything other than a Democrat, you're a horrible person. It shouldn't be that way. We should appreciate other people's ideologies, other people's way of life, other people's beliefs, either politically, religion, whatever you want to talk about it. But I do want to venture into that. Like, I do want to be on for like 2-3 hours, man. Like, that's my goal. I don't know how I'm going to implement that. I am going to be busy in the very near future. But I do want to venture into that. And again, this isn't for everybody. People aren't going to watch me consistently, but I'm not scared to
right now, because you're all black right now.
But I'm not scared to venture out. I'm not scared to try. I'm not scared to, and if I fail, I fail. It's just something that I want to do. I do seriously want to be a source of information. I do want to be a mini network, as weird as that sounds. And I have been fortunate enough. We've been fortunate enough that the platform has been viewed by a lot of people. And I'm very thankful and humbled by that. But once you get a little taste of it, you're like, okay, what else can we do? Maybe we can be a channel where people plug in. Hey, what are these guys talking about? What's the topic of discussion? There's this thing that came out on the paper, this thing that came out on the Herald. Well, these guys are giving an in-depth look into that. That's what I want to be. That's what I want to do. So,
well, I'm gonna have to have caffeine or something because I don't think I can do that for you all the time. But I mean, there's plenty of stuff to talking about. I mean, you had today already. You had Trump. The New York Court of Appeal threw out the $500 million civil penalty against him in that case that he had in New York. Threw that out. So Democrats are probably like this. People like Toker is probably freaking out. You had the New York Times right now. Fox News is talking about the New York Times poll. New York Times story from yesterday where they had said that Republican registered voters has increased in 30 states and DC by 2.4 million people. 2.1 million people. I think they just took away. And Democrats have gone down in party registration in the same area by 2.4. One of them 2.1 up or 2.4 up, and one of them 2.1 down, 2.4 down. Okay, there it is. Dem lost about 2.1 million voters, while GOP gained 2.4. Democrats lost 2.1 million voters, while GOP gained $2.4 million between the 2020 and 2024 elections.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'm talking about.
Right.
Republicans are investing. They're listening to the message of the Republican Party, whether Democrats like it or not. That's it. Yeah. I think he was. What did El Toker say about me? People don't like me because of my what? What did he say?
Because you're a Mexican. That's why.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, no, it just. I think it's something about my snarky comment. What? Me snarky? I'm sorry. It's because we know what a woman is, I guess. Maybe that's the reason why, I guess. I don't know what a woman is. Toker doesn't, but I do. I know what a woman is. Hell yeah. Oh, now they're reporting about that Rhode Island attorney general that got arrested because she's like, I'm an AG. You can't do this to me. I'm a lawyer. I'm like, oh, don't do that.
She name dropped her being an AG like 20 times. The guy, did you see the video? The guy's like, I don't care who you are. And he arrested her.
Dude, like, stop. Don't do that. I don't even know why they were even there. Like, why were they kicked out of the restaurant? I have no idea.
No. There was a line. I think it was a club or a restaurant. They wanted to cut in line or something. And the doorman, the people taking the host at the front of the restaurant or the club called the police and said, you know what? I'm telling these people that they can't come in. They're being a nuisance. We want them out. The cop said, do you want me to charge them with trespassing if they don't leave? And he said, yes, please. So then they say, look, you need to leave the establishment. This business, whatever, does not want you here. And then they're like, you know who you're talking to? You're talking to an AG. I'm an AG. And you need to turn your body cam off. That's a directive. And I know the law. And then the other girl that was next to her was like, she's a lawyer. She's an AG. And the guy's like, I don't care. And he just turned her around and freaking handcuffed her. I thought it was hilarious.
But he was very patient with her for a while. Then
he was.
It's not the process. That's not the process. And then she's like, I don't know what it is with these people now. Like they do this thing with their fingers or like they're making a point. I don't know. It's just dumb. Oh, well. But yeah, apparently the Rhode Island attorney general on the arrest of the prosecutor. It was inexcusable behavior. I would agree so. Hey, that's a great song, by the way. Joker, a Smoker, Midnight Toker. That's a great song.
What is that, Sublime? No. Who's that?
Somebody please tell him before I pull my hair out. Really?
No. The Toker's gonna tell us. I got a Toker. Who is the Midnight Smoker? On the long and all. Robin, what's your thought? I got a message. We need someone like Elon Musk to take over Brownsville and start from scratch.
Isn't that what he's doing over in SpaceX or Starbase? Isn't that what he's doing?
He's starting his own city.
Yeah, their tax rate is going to be what, 53 cents or something per 100.
Elon won't pay for it, hombre.
Mm, I don't know. Oh, there's your answer. I'm really embarrassed for you right now that you thought it was
Sorry.
Sublime. The Steve Miller Band.
Well, I need to talk more, I guess. I don't know.
No, they're a group from the 70s, bro. Like, Sublime wasn't even a band in the 70s.
I wasn't
Um,
even born in the 70s.
ah, God, me. Like,
Sex preference identity, Toker. Jingo.
is that his version of the Steve Miller Band? What?
I guess. I don't know.
What? He
I
said
need.
something about like I don't know what like you don't know I don't know what gay is.
Oh,
Like you all don't even know what gay is. You have like now queer. You have all these different names of non-binary. Like
it is getting
they're gay. They're lesbian. That used to
what
be
trips
it.
me
And
out
then
is the whole what do you call it? The pronouns that trips me out. Like refer to me as, and there's
they
some weird ones. There's some weird ones. I'm like, whoa, what happened to like, hey ma'am, hey sir, or like like.
again they don't even know what gay is anymore. That Del Toker. You don't even know what gay is. Come on. I mean, give me a break. And honestly, that's why Democrats are losing down here. People are like, we're tired of this crap. You don't have
Oh,
any
the
idea how
wokeness or
many.
what?
Yes, they're tired. They don't identify down here. Can you know how many elected Democrats that I know that are literally like they're like this when it comes to that crap.
Hmm.
And I mean, they can't say publicly because they don't think they can win as a Republican. I mean, you have people that are former elected Democrats who are like, well, maybe I should become a Republican because that party is weird as hell. But Democrats don't understand what a woman is, or they don't. Again, they don't even know what gay is. They don't even know what gay is. Like, come on, man, give me a break. That's what it boils down to. And you can say I'm bigoted. Trust me, bro. They're conservative Democrats who are tired of that crap. You don't like it. And to be honest, I mean, my friend, my friend is. I have a friend, Roy De Los Santos, good friend of mine. I like him,
Right.
but not. I'm going to use the line of Captain Bob, but not in a gay way. Yeah, okay.
So,
Sorry. Those are lines that me and your Theo would remember because we're old.
hmm,
You would not know that line. You don't know where that came from.
yeah.
Well, I still can't
Yeah,
believe
I don't
you're all
know.
black the entire time. I'm literally just talking to like because your camera doesn't
Yeah,
work.
it's AI. It's not even me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Your
do agree with you.
ChatGPT or
I do agree with you. I think there is a change in climate in regards to political ideologies, and I think people are getting turned off by the very idea about wokeness. We do have. I'm gonna bounce back to something you just said. You had Morgan Lamantia. She was a Republican. She became a Democrat, and she narrowly beat Adam Hinojosa by what was it, Roman? 500 votes.
right. Well, I think it was originally 500, but then they recounted. I think it went up to like 650, something like that. Yeah.
So in that range. And then we saw what happened. I honestly feel as if the country as a whole, and more importantly for us here locally in the valley, I think we are seeing this change. We saw how the previous administration with Biden, open borders and this whole wokeness and this uh, you know, I think people want to get back to the basics. I think people are tired of that wokeness, and they do want to have to return to some sort of what's the word, normalcy, if we could call it that, because it's getting out of hand. And then we want to teach that to the children. And then that's affecting their upbringing. That's affecting, and I'm not just talking about gay, lesbian, or whatever, what have you. I just think it's a whole, maybe it's this new generation that wants to indoctrinate kids in at a young age. I don't know. So I do feel and it's been proven that in the Rio Grande Valley, being a Republican at one point, Roman, was something that you didn't say proudly. People were embarrassed to say that they're a Republican because this is a blue area through and through.
Yeah.
And when you talk about the politicos, man, they're blue until I die, and you best bury me. They have that where now we're starting to see a shift to where people are starting to question things. People are starting to open up to the idea of, well, maybe there's a possibility that I could change parties because this party isn't working out for me. So I do agree with you that, and it's not really what you and I believe. It's more, what does the data show? We've seen how previous years here in the Valley, we are starting to see how Republican numbers are competing with the Democrats. Now it's like, hey, you just mentioned how District 38, you made it seem like it's a toss-up, or it could potentially be a toss-up if Bam were to officially make an announcement to where, hey, there is a possibility that he could win, or any Republican could win. You know what I'm saying? Where before, Roman, 4, 8, 12, 16 years ago, no way in hell. That's why when we talk about people such as Carlos Cascos, Tony Garza, there were the trailblazers here in Cameron County. They were those people that had the guts to run in this blue dominant area. So I just think it's very telling how we're starting to see a shift in culture. We're starting to see a shift in ideology, and now people are proud to say that they're Republican, proud that they support someone such as Donald Trump, someone who was a complete 180 compared to President Biden and his open borders and his failed policies, in my opinion. So now we're starting to see a shift in people who are now turning Republican.
Yeah. Well, Toker apparently needs to go, and I think we should probably go too, because it's already been like 3 hours, and I need to go get something to drink. Because
if Toker needs to leave, we need to go.
We need to go. You gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go. I need something to drink. I'm thirsty. Like my mouth is kind of dry a little bit, and yeah, I appreciate it. Well, we'll talk later, God willing.
Let's see if we do it tomorrow, Roman, because
I don't know about tomorrow, dude. But we'll see.
We're not guaranteed. We're not guaranteed much time on the airwaves. Yeah, we're not promised tomorrow.
Is Facebook still gonna get rid of you? Who knows?
Yeah, Facebook is gonna get rid of me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, Roman. You already know, if you'd like to come on, just let me know. Our platform is your platform, my man. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, bro. Have a good one. Peace. City of Brownsville, Cameron County.
Bye.
Peace.